Mackerel! Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Wednesday the 24th of November 2010. I'm your host Dan Train. Joining me today, Robert Kemp.
Hi.
And Zachary Burgess.
Hello.
Gentlemen. Welcome once more to the Saladcast. How's it going?
Mental Gen.
And welcome back, Rob, from the land of hope and glory. The land of the free? No, land of hope and glory is Britain, isn't it?
I have no idea.
Land of...
Actually, I don't know what that song's based on.
I don't know.
I think it might be Britain. Like, maybe one of its colonies. Like... Australia.
Like America. Anyway, back from America.
Yes, I've spent a week in Frisco and survived.
Survived? Is that difficult?
It is America. Actually, no, it's not that bad. But it would drive you mental.
How so?
Well, you know, there's... It's just America. No, it's alright. I was expecting it to be more jarring than it was, actually, sort of going as my first time across the pond. It was
more jarring compared to normal?
Like other foreign countries, like Greece or Kuala Lumpur. Not that Kuala Lumpur's a country, but you know what I mean, Malaysia.
Yeah, very different, of course. But they're not Western, so... Well, Greece is sort of Western. It is European, I suppose, Greece, but it's a bit on the edge, isn't it?
It's on the edge. It's
what with having no
extreme.
money and like banning computer games. I don't know if you remember that, but they made them illegal for a short time. That and also weird. For like arresting people, British people at airports for spying or something. I seem to remember the Greek people doing that.
Them and their spies. I can't imagine a Greek spy, like some kind of hummus eating Bond.
Yes, we don't suspect them when they're over here. They suspect us.
I can't think of a Greek spy name, like Bondies or something.
Papadopoulos or something. Oh no.
Oh, here comes the blatant racism already.
Oh man. So did you have to go through any of this new TSA screening procedure that everyone on the internet is currently up in arms about?
No. I did see they had like 3 scanners in the terminal that were set up and waiting. They the sort of body scan device jobbies, and they had some like material out saying, "Don't worry about the body scan. We have trained professionals watching your junk."
Yeah, exactly.
And it was they weren't in use though. In fact, they were pretty lax because there was. I actually made a bit of a boo-boo in the sense that there were signs everywhere saying, "Make sure that you take your stuff out, and to put in through the security trays, like take your jacket off, take your belt off." And it also said, "Take your shoes off," which I totally didn't, but no one seemed to notice. So there you go. I'm the shoe bomber.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. How are you going to stop someone?
I know shoes were a bit funny, but. Yeah.
I mean, even if they take off your shoe, wouldn't they have to like practically destroy it to find out if it had anything in it? In the heel, for example. How do you check? I don't know.
Do X-rays go through rubber?
Oh, I'm sure they do, but
rubber soles and all that.
Do they X-ray the shoes when they take them off?
Yeah, because they go in the tray. Therefore, it goes through the.
Well, I guess that makes sense then. Do they have extra big trays then? Because the trays I know are just little ones for putting your watch in. They're not like for putting.
No, they're reasonable size. Like you can fit a laptop in them these days.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because you have to put your laptop through the system. Yeah, you have to put your laptop through the system. They don't let you just take it through because apparently it's quite easy to conceal quite a lot of stuff in a laptop case.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I even had it checked for radioactivity once.
What, the laptop?
My laptop, yeah.
What, because it had been through so many X-rays?
No, I don't know about that. It's probably just they run it over with a little thing to say, that's not got any depleted uranium in it.
It's not a dirty bomb or something.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I wonder if X-rays affect the computer though. You'd think they might, because...
I don't know. Maybe not.
Because like a processor has very, very, very small pathways in it. And you'd think that could be ionized by...
Well, maybe if you left it on.
Yeah, that's true.
It could fuck it up if you left it on, I guess, while going through it. The processor could suddenly go wobbly, and cause everything to sort of break in new and imaginative ways.
Yeah,
maybe it would turn your laptop into an X-ray machine. You put stuff on the other side of the screen. It's like, wow, ooh, cancer.
Ooh, yeah. So, other than the security details, do you get up to anything fun?
Well, I had a whole day to myself in San Francisco, and
sweet.
didn't really do much. I sort of spent it walking around. Like,
did you see all the sights from the room?
No. Well,
the non-existent rooftop.
I actually didn't think to sort of make a list of where that was filmed.
No,
so I didn't see like the flower shop, for instance. Went, you're my favorite customer. And, I didn't make too much of an effort on that front. I did get to see Super Wiggly Street, or Lombard Street as it's more commonly known, and I went to the bottom of California Street, walking along the cable car track. Not actually on the cable car track, you know, ding 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 ding. Wasn't like that, but yeah, I think because you've got that famous photo, haven't you, of the sort of cable car track that looks like a single road up a giant hill, even though it's lots of junctions. Is that California Street? Because I think I walked to the bottom of that, and
probably is, yeah. Because it's an old photo, it's like from the '60s or something.
Yeah, but, it didn't look quite the same. There's like
Yeah, I haven't had that poster up for a while, but I think it's probably quite a famous poster as well.
Yeah.
Probably is.
It didn't look quite the same as that. It looked a bit too glossy, and this hill didn't look quite so steep in person. But must have been a clever lens trick.
Yeah, I think it might have been the depth of field or whatever to make it appear sheerer than it was. Because obviously, I mean...
Oh, don't get me wrong, there are some hills that are fucking steep.
Yeah, but the thing is that they're if you look at the whole height there, it's leveled out by the occasional junction, which kind of... So if you average it out, it's not as steep as the actual individual sections, I presume.
I made the mistake of trying to cut through the middle of San Francisco on my way back to the hotel on one of the days. And yeah, if you do that, you hit some of the steepest hills I've ever seen a road on. They must have some seriously fucking strong parking brakes on their cars, I can tell you.
Yeah. There's some hilarious photos that you get sometimes on the internet where people take photographs of the houses from where they angle the camera so that it's on a level with the road.
Oh, yeah,
so it just looks like the house is like really, really falling over.
Really wonky.
Yeah, it's really strange. Yes. No, what Lombard Street, the curly one, that's always a classic. Was it Midtown Madness 2 had
Yeah. I'll tell you what, one of the most awesome things I found, and this is near Fisherman's Wharf, is there's this sort of old sort of warehousey thing that's been carved out, and inside is the Musée Mécanique, which is basically a museum of old arcade machines.
Oh, sweet!
And I'm talking like really, really old. I mean, probably they had some like sprint. They had a sprint machine and a millipede and stuff like that. But they also had as you say, really old sort of put a quarter in, shit starts happening in a sort of like doll's house kind of way.
Right, yeah.
Like really, really old school stuff. And those musical sort of one-man band machines, do you remember those? Where it's like an automated music factory where it's with an organ and a drum and cymbals and shit. So it sort of plays itself. I had some of those.
Does it have like little monkeys with cymbals? Ching, ching.
I did see that. There was a particularly weird one that I took a photo of and is up on my Facebook at the moment, but with the... it's basically got like a dad holding a baby, and the baby's looking particularly disgruntled, and the dad just looks really sad, and it's like and hanging it over a cot, and it's like, well, not hanging the baby, you know what I mean, but just sort of like leaning over the cot, and it's like I'm not sure I want to find out what happens when I put the money in here. Does it turn into some dramatic suicide scene? Or
oh dear.
It just looked particularly odd. So anyway, I stopped and played a bit of San Francisco Rush, naturally.
Of course, one of your old favourites. Is that is that completely different in the arcade, or?
Well, it's different to the one you would have seen. You would have seen Rush 2149, I think it was, or something, where the cars had wings and shit.
Yeah, that was mental. Oh, yeah. So how is it?
It was different. Yeah, it was the original Rush. So it's. Right. I remember it looking better and running better.
What a surprise!
Yeah. The actual N64 version was probably superior.
That was weird, that multiplayer on that game. You guys loved that, and I was like, what is the appeal of this nonsense?
It was just fucking mental. It was like the once you learn the tactic of trying to get as many tricks in as possible in different ways into a jump using your wings, and then the difficulty of managing to land it.
How did you guys manage to do all those tricks? I always used to spin around and then slow down and then spin around the other way, but that's not the efficient way to do it.
No, it's like you had to sort of lean it round in a circle on the control stick. So you start leaning to the left, and then move it so you're leaning so you get the side roll. Then you pull it back, so you start a backwards flip, for instance. But then sort of push it down and to the right, so you're cancelling out the left flip, so you stop spinning to the left. But then you're flipping backwards, so then you get the back flip point.
Right. Oh, I see.
And then move it round again. So you're basically cancelling out your previous move as you go around the circle. So, for instance, there's an award for just random twist, which is a combination of two directions. Right. But there's also a marker for each direction that you're flipping. So a left flip, a back flip, a right flip, a front flip. And if you can get all those into a single jump, then you get quite a large multiplier.
Right, and that was how you guys got all those massive points.
Indeed.
You were in a car, sort of a futuristic car, but it was a normal car, and then you hit the jump like a ramp, wasn't it? And then you press the button and the wings came out of the side of the car.
Yeah, you pulled your trigger, the Z button.
Yeah, that's right, the Z button. But then on the end of the wings, you had like reaction control jets, like a Harrier jump jet, so you could boost. Upwards from one wing, down from the other wing, and that would spin you around in like a barrel roll, etc. Basically, so you could. That was how it worked, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
And then you had to sort of. And it had this quite floaty gravity in general, didn't it?
Yeah, it's always been Russia's thing. With like virtually no gravity, you just sort of fly.
You basically fly without the need of wings, anyway.
Yeah. The wings actually don't help you float anymore. They're just for angling the car.
That's right.
But yeah, that was awesome. So there was one of those, and I also rekindled my love for pinball because they had a admittedly not very old, but it had a Pirates of the Caribbean pinball machine, which was totally awesome.
Oh, did you tilt the table?
No, I didn't tilt. No, I had to nudge it one time, but
okay,
the ball got stuck. But it didn't tilt. It was just.
So I see you've transferred your love of genuine pinball to a bit of pinball on the Xbox, is that correct?
Yes. Well, no, I've tried the demo just out of me and Zach had a bit of a moment where we played a lot of old pinball games.
Is that inspired by your playing of pinball?
Indeed, it sort of mentioned it, and it's like well, and the fact that Zach just casually managed to find a version of Psycho Pinball that sort of worked.
The old classic.
I used to love Psycho Pinball. Well, it worked as opposed to not working.
Yeah. Because that was...
Psycho Pinball was cool. Back in Codemasters when they were
Was that on the Atari?
No, it was PC.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it was PC, wasn't it?
I think it did come out on one of the old systems as well. Like an Amiga version or something.
Maybe. I know it had a floppy and a CD version on PC. Yeah. It might have got released on... I think it may have had a Mega Drive version, thinking about it.
Because there were 4 tables.
Or one of those consoles at the time.
And then 3 of them fed into the main table, didn't they? So you could play the main table, and then you went through a thing, and it would take you to one of the other tables. Is that right?
Yeah, for a ball.
And like the underwater table had like 2 sets of flippers, one halfway up, so you played. Is that right?
And yeah, you had 2 mini tables.
2 mini tables in one. That was kind of cool. And it had a Wild West theme, didn't it? And a underwater theme, space theme,
and a ghost theme.
Oh no,
it wasn't space. And the main table was the fun fair.
Oh, that's right. So, what was the demo you were playing?
Pinball FX2. Let's see what it is. As far as demos go, it's really stingy. You get about a minute of gameplay, and then it goes, your timer's run out, and then the ball drops. And every time it brings up one of those sort of like, why don't you buy this game menus? There's a delay before you can actually push a button to get back to the game or get out of the menu. And it's as far as demos goes, it's freaking annoying.
Yeah.
It's like it's not really enough to get a feel for how the game pans out and stuff. And I suppose that's what pinball's about. It takes you a while to figure out what everything does, and that's half the fun of it. But
it doesn't tempt you to buy it then.
Not massively. It's because you get irritated by it more than anything. It's like, you bastards, you've sort of made me annoyed more than wanting the game. So it's like you just, even if the game's great, and it probably is, because it's quite well rendered. The graphics look quite nice, and the ball physics do feel pretty real. It's just you've pissed me off with your demo.
They're shooting themselves in the foot there. Oh, well.
Yeah, a little bit.
So do you get up to any gaming on your massive transatlantic flight? Well, more than transatlantic, because you had to go across the continent as well, didn't you?
Yeah, to cross America. Well, I actually stopped off in Canada because someone got ill on the flight.
Oh, that's a shame.
So we had to sit around in Goose Bay for an extra hour. And then, yeah, because they take a bendy route. They go north and then come back down.
Yeah. I think that's actually...
it's probably straight, actually, but it's just the map makes it bendy.
Yeah, it might be one of those great circle jobs, but I think it's probably to do with it's all to do with the wind across the winds.
You take advantage of the currents, yeah.
Yeah, because airspeed is different from ground speed. Well, I can't remember. I should know that. What are the two? Airspeed and...
It is ground speed, yeah.
Ground speed. Okay. So, yes. Do you have your DS with you or something?
I had my iPhone and my PSP.
Ah.
And I managed to get a bit of Lumines 2 in, and also a bit of... a tiny bit of Final Fantasy 7, and I actually managed to finally figure out how to get past that stupid rocket village. At some point, I just sort of walked around it for like an hour talking to everyone, and until someone finally said, "Oh, hello, there's something's about to happen." And it's like, "Oh, wonderful, I've only been to speak to you like 1,000,000 times." It seemed to go a bit wrong.
So did you figure out how you triggered it, or had it gone wrong?
I think it went... Well, I had to go into Sid's lady's house or something, and then she starts talking to you, and he goes, "Make the tea!" And
make the tea!
And whatever Sid sounds like. Tea! And gets a bit annoyed when she doesn't make tea, and instead tells you her life story. And he comes back and just goes, "Tea." And then the sequence starts, and it's hooray. And then you get the flightless plane.
Wait, so how did you not have that happen?
I don't know.
The first time you went
actually don't know.
You go to that house.
Well, yeah, you have to go visit everything else, I think, and I must have missed something the first time I did it. It's like, even if you're just talking, people say, "I'm excited," as some of the dudes say. I don't know. Irritating.
Yeah,
it finally triggered.
You did have to go like all over that goddamn town for no apparent reason. It's like go all the way into the very farthest bit of the rocket you can get into for no reason. Just like talk to a guy there.
Yeah. I don't know. That was a bit irritating. So anyway, that means I can probably carry on playing Final Fantasy VII if I ever get my PSP back out.
What do you mean?
Well, I lost my case for the PSP. Of all the things to lose, I lost the fucking case. Left it on the plane, I think.
Oh, you probably have mine. I don't really use my PSP. Yeah. Although, have you got a newer PSP than me? Have you got a slimmer one? I don't suppose it makes much difference in terms of the case.
I know I got mine after than yours, but it's still a first gen.
Oh, right, okay. Because
yeah, as I say, not that it really matters, as you say. They all last just about the same amount of time. And...
Yeah, probably. Have you heard the rumours of the PSP phone? Well, rumours, I say.
The very badly kept secret.
Yeah,
is PSP phone.
It's fairly obvious, really. I think it's
I'm surprised it didn't happen a while ago. To be honest,
I think it makes sense from their point of view, and it would be interesting because I think now is kind of the right time because the N-Gage was all the wrong time for a phone gaming platform. But now
it was too early and shitly done.
And badly done, yeah. It could have worked, but I don't think... Yeah,
I don't think you had to take the battery cover out and stuff to get at the cartridge slot.
Yeah, that kind of thing was mental.
It was pretty ridiculous.
But, I mean, they were talking about... So it's like an Android phone, that's the idea, I think. And...
yeah, based in the Xperia range or something.
Yeah, but with the PSP branding and proper PSP
hardware
controls.
built in. Yeah.
I mean, if they get those thumbsticks right, which is the key, really. I mean, the 3DS looks like it's going to have the best analog control on a handheld.
Well, having not picked up a Slim, because we don't know, because I don't think we've used not a Slim, sorry, the PSP Go.
That's true.
Where they moved the position of the nub.
Right. Yeah. But the nub was never quite there, was it? It was all right, but it was in the wrong place, obviously. Yeah. Sort of. I mean, I don't know where they would have put it, but it was uncomfortable using it. But yeah, if they could get, because it looks like the PSP phone leaked footage seems to have two analog, not nubs, but they're just like sort of touchpad things from the look of it, like capacitive, but it looks like it has two analog controls on it, which is a step in the right direction for... I don't know, because the thing is, they were saying, I was listening to them sort of debating it on the Bombcast, and and Jeff was saying, well, yeah, but it's going to be like a PSP and a phone, but less powerful. But then I thought, no, hang on a minute, because the iPhone is actually considerably more powerful than the PSP.
Oh yeah, in terms of the processing inside. If you think that the processor inside an iPhone is a whole gigahertz, whereas I think the clock speed of the PSP is something like 233.
I mean, the iPhone 4, in terms of power and even graphics power and certainly
and battery
storage,
life as well,
battery life, everything, it's far superior even to the 3DS, which hasn't even come out yet. It's more powerful than that, and you can buy it today, you know? So so saying that in the past, yes, maybe, but saying that combining a phone and a gaming platform limits the gaming platform in terms of power isn't correct, I don't think, anymore.
It's not entirely true anymore. Yeah. I mean, there are some difficulties I can foresee in them doing this. I mean, unless they significantly change the PSP architecture, as in they can't just bolt a PSP onto a phone and expect it to work. No. They're going to have to make the PSP aware of when a phone call happens, for instance, and you're in the middle of a game, how to suspend the game and things like that. To hold it up so you can have your chat and then come back exactly where you left off, things like that. It's almost like it's which might be possible because the PSP always had that standby feature. Might be an extension of that, but
well, I don't even know if it will necessarily be a PSP as it were. It might be a PSP 2. You know what I mean? They might give up on the old games. It might not be backward compatible. If I were doing it, that's the way I would go. And have all the games be downloadable like an app store, that would be the way, I think.
Do what they should have done with PSP Go, is what you mean?
Well, I guess, but PSP Go was okay, because that was a continuation, but...
I don't know, I think it's pretty much a disaster, to be honest. I don't think it's taken off, and I don't think it's...
Yeah, that's true, but I could see where they're coming from.
It suffered from the Sony's terrible games library.
Yeah, so they need to cut off and say, this is a new product, and get and almost be inspired by the App Store and say, everyone, make all cool, awesome indie games for it, and then go to the publishers, the big publishers, and say, here's our new platform, make awesome professional games for it.
Yeah, Sony need to be a little bit...
Space.
Although Apple is fairly strict with the App Store, they've at least put the resources in so anyone can submit an app and there's a high likelihood it will get through eventually.
That's true. I think they
if Sony needs to basically... Yeah, Sony needs to mimic that in the sense that they can let most apps through.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just won't work. And they've also got to don't forget they've also got to compete with the possibility that if it's based on an Android phone, what exactly is stopping you from downloading an Android game? Yeah,
exactly. Rather than a sanction.
It's weird. They're almost like they're competing with themselves, which is dangerous. I know that Android doesn't belong to Sony. I understand that, but there's two gaming platforms on one device, which may not work.
Yeah,
especially if Sony get their price point wrong, which is the problem they still have with the PSP, is that PSP games are far too expensive.
Yeah, that's true. Although,
mobile games in general are too expensive.
Yeah, that's why I think Nintendo are just as bad. I mean, they're going to make the 3DS the most expensive Nintendo console ever at launch.
Yeah,
and it's the
iPhone and Android have just destroyed that marketplace. People don't expect to pay 30 quid for a mobile game anymore.
Yeah,
even if it is on a DS, even if it is on a PSP, you don't think that's a good price point anymore.
Even I agonise over whether to spend 3 quid on an app. You know, and it's only it's £3. If I was in a newsagent's, I'd spend that, without even thinking about it.
I know what you mean. It's absolutely stupid. I haven't bought Doodle Jump for precisely that reason. It's like,
it's 59p.
Or Rage HD. It's £2 for one of the most graphically impressive games I've seen on a mobile device. Yeah.
Well,
I had a play on that, by the way.
Oh, did you?
Rage HD. It is impressive.
Really?
Seriously impressive. I mean, it's.
How does it compare to the Unreal thing? Have you
I haven't seen that on the phone.
Oh, okay. But, carry on.
It's pretty good. It's proper rendered. It looks. They've got the look and feel right for how the actual shots for the actual game are going to look. Admittedly, it misses out on lighting and stuff, but the models and texture detail are all pretty damn good, and it runs at a steady frame rate on the iPhone. Controls are a bit of an issue, but that's a different point. You have to aim. It's an on-rail shooter, but you aim by tilting the phone. Right,
that's clever, because anything
it means you can see the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anything so you can see the screen really helps. Yeah, because you can do interesting things because of the flash memory. Means you can almost use the flash memory as RAM, almost, because it's so fast to access.
To a point. I mean, there's some misconceptions about flash. It's not that fast.
No, but
it's faster than a hard drive, but
yeah, do download the Epic Citadel though, because there's a free version of that. In fact, I think it's free. I don't think there is a paid version. No, it's just a tech demo, but that's that Unreal Engine running on the iPhone, and that was pretty
interesting.
It runs really nice on the iPhone 4, especially. Ooh. So check that out. I also saw this thing on the internet where people were selling they're like sort of transparent stickers that you can stick on your iPhone screen, and I think you can remove them at any time and put them on, and they don't leave residue. But they have little pop-up little nubs or whatever, and so you place the little nub over where the virtual button is in the game that you're playing. And then you can click the button, and so
you have a tactile button on a flat screen.
On a flat screen. That's kind of clever, I think.
It's a neat idea. I worry about their reusability, as in whether the stickiness wears off, or
you could buy 100 of them, couldn't you, if you needed to?
Yeah, true, but they're quite expensive from what I saw.
Oh, are they? Oh, that's no good.
Like $7 or $8 a pop, something like that.
Yeah.
So you couldn't. If you had wads of cash and had $400 to spare, then you could buy 100 of them. And then you have 100 uses of Street Fighter 4 at your fingertips.
Hilarious. So what else have you been playing, man? Have you had any chance to play anything since you've been back, or?
Yes. Well, I've had a couple of days off, so to recover from horrible jet lag, which I've never had before, and it was pretty bad coming back. I think I've recovered now, but
okay.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But yeah, during that time, I finished Black Ops, or at least the campaign.
Ah, excellent. I want to talk about this, because I've actually played through all of Modern Warfare 2 in the time between the lines.
Uh-huh.
Which isn't that big a feat, because it doesn't take very long, let's be fair.
No,
yes, okay.
I mean, Black Ops' campaign isn't massively long either. But I will be honest with you, it's more fun. In my opinion, Black Ops is more fun than Modern Warfare.
Okay.
The story is... just in general, the story is more far-fetched, and it is a little bit... And the stuff I said about having a seizure...
More far-fetched than Modern Warfare 2, though?
Yeah, it's pretty far-fetched. I can't... it's annoying. It's one of those stories I want to talk about, but talking about it is spoilerific. It actually has a few... It's quite clever, to be honest, as far as a storyline for a game like this goes. It's quite ingenious. Admittedly, I saw the plot twist coming a mile off.
Right, yeah.
It's like about halfway through the game, I thought, I bet that's what's happening, and it did.
Okay.
Although
it's not a bad thing necessarily.
No, but it does at the end of the game. It doesn't. The best stories don't have to painstakingly reveal what the whole point in the plot was. Like when you watch The Sixth Sense. Yeah. And there's the plot twist at the end. It doesn't then go back and show you all the scenes where it's like, oh yeah, he's been dead the whole time. It doesn't go back and explicitly show you all those moments where he didn't interact with people. It's sort of implied, and it makes you want to watch it again. This doesn't do that. The twist happens, and it's it then outright shows you everywhere in the story where there was a hint.
Right. Yeah,
like,
that's really lazy.
Like, I don't know, that's a bit boring, and it extended the scene more than it needed to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, that scene is quite well done. There's some clever graphical effects when you're going a bit mental, basically. It's quite well done, but it's... I don't know, they didn't need to spell it out. I mean, I wonder if they know what their demographic is, and they're targeting it.
Oh, probably, yeah. These people need things explained to them step by step because they're like, duh, must shoot things, duh.
No. But, generally I think it's an improvement over Modern Warfare 2. It still suffers from all of the same issues, though.
Right. Well, that really worries me.
Yeah, it does suffer, but sometimes there are certain scenes, certain set pieces that are... I don't understand how they got through the experimentation phase because they are just crazy hard. I played through the game in hardened mode, not veteran. I can imagine the game being quite fun in normal. I wish I'd done that first.
I heard that.
I played it through in hardened. There are some scenes where the enemy well stuff we were talking about last week, where the enemies just keep coming until you move forward. There are sections where you have to do certain objectives, and enemies keep spawning out of these new things, but they spawn faster than you can pick them off half the time because they're spawning in a wide area. So you pick off a load, you move forward. By the time you've got to your objective, they're all over it again.
Right, yeah.
And you basically you just have to get lucky, and that you've killed them all, and there just happens not to be another wave running up by the time you do the objective. And a lot of the game boils down to just I wasn't entirely sure that was going to happen, or how could I have stopped that in any way? It's a big luck game, and while it goes to some step to presumably it's quite a good step in the sense that it simulates what war would be like. There'll be a lot of things you have absolutely no control of during an enormous firefight.
Yeah, but that's not fun.
But,
I mean, that's fair enough that war isn't actually fun. Otherwise, we'd all be joining the army instead of playing Modern Warfare 2, you know?
Yeah, man, I'm going to shoot some bitches.
Because random things could happen and you can die out of the blue in real war. And you don't really
exactly.
Want that
and this does happen a lot in the game. And the worst bit is that the game eggs you on to do things, and your AI opponents will go and move in ways that make you think you can do the same. For instance, a section right at the start of the game, your teammates walk round a corner and go, "Come on, let's go!" And so you follow them into a corner which he's just walked into without a single shot being fired. You turn up and there's 5 dudes just standing there, and you die in an instant.
Oh god!
There's a lot of moments like that where you can't. The AI, your teammate AI, is actually the most irritating thing of the game because it gives you this false sense of security, in that you expect them to actually. They do a lot of shooting and kill fuck all. They do a lot of. They often move to places and the enemy doesn't pay any attention to them. Like enemies will just walk right past your teammates sometimes, and neither of them will pay attention to each other because the enemy wants to shoot you. Right, because they're prioritizing you. Exactly, yeah, which is fair enough, but it just looks retarded. And also, I mean, they'd have to... If your teammates were too good, you'd have nothing to shoot at as well. So I guess it is true. There's a certain balance, but they actually don't. There are certain scenes where they actually just don't do anything other than be there. And you're supposed to be this elite team and stuff. And you don't feel like an elite team half the time. It's just an elite you with a load of meat shields. It's interesting because they're pretty bad for running in your shots as well. So you'll line up a snipe shot, and they'll just appear at the last second. In your vision. For the love of God. I'm always shooting my own blokes in it because they tend to come out of a room in front or something. They're on a different route, and then it's like you can't tell if they're the enemy sometimes. I saw this YouTube video where someone had played on the PC in hardened mode the entire first level of Black Ops without firing a single shot. That's pretty cool. He just let the AI team kill all the enemies, and the only times he had to shoot were one where you have to shoot Castro, you have to shoot him, obviously. Yeah. And right at the end, when the aircraft is taking off, you have to shoot the AA guns in order to let it escape.
They're the only 2 times you have to shoot in that level to make it through unhardened.
But there's a couple of places where I'm sure there are wells, and you wouldn't get given how long it takes the AI to kill people, you wouldn't get enough of a gap to make you move. But maybe
you have to watch how
maybe the AI is more competent at the start of the game.
Maybe. I mean, he does get hurt quite badly in places, but he does seem to find places to hide that are like... He seems to sprint forward and then find a place to hide, which is after the cut-off zone for going to the next bit, so that then his AI companions fight their way to him, and then...
Oh, I see. He finds a spot to hide, and then the AI reach him, and then... Okay.
And then iterate that. So he's just doing it to demonstrate. And also, he's got commentary over it, so he's talking over it and going, "Oh, PC games used to be awesome, now they all suck. Consoles are rubbish." It's really quite hilarious. Yeah, what I don't know.
There's a... The other problems are that it's a little bit glitchier than previous entries. Like, I have had some hilarious ragdoll physics. I've had some dudes that would just stand still. You shoot them a few times and nothing happens. You shoot them some more and then they appear as a dead body just instantly.
Oh,
which is quite funny, but
okay.
Yeah. And I've seen some hilarious extra physics, like just bodies like flying absolutely miles after what seems like a fairly normal explosion. They'll just go woohoo! Cool. which is hilarious. Actually, moments like the glitches aren't game-killing bugs; they're just funny. There was a couple of moments where an enemy would run up to me and then just stand there, which is very funny. I was reloading at the time, so I couldn't do anything, and he just walked up and just sort of stood over me for a bit, staring me down. And I'm like, "This is awkward." Stab.
That's cool.
Some moments like that, and it's. I also struggle with and maybe this might be intended by the game, but sometimes it is so hard to see what is going on
with the smoke and stuff.
There's some of the indoor scenes. There's smoke coming from fucking everything, and just seeing where people are. There's too many moments where you walk into a scene and you just can't see what's shooting at you. This is emphasised towards the end where there's essentially a scene where you need thermal vision in order to see anything.
Yeah,
and the enemy can just see through it and has perfect aim. And
do they have thermal vision in Black Ops?
Some of the guns have thermal sights.
Oh, that's good, because obviously in Modern Warfare 2, almost every time there's loads of smoke, there's a thermal sighted gun right there. But I was thinking Black Ops, older technology, they might not.
Well, don't get me wrong, it's not the thermal sight isn't as useful as it was before. It's all fuzzier.
Oh, okay.
It's an intentionally worse version of it.
I see.
But, of course, the enemy can just shoot through everything because they can see you through smoke and fire and anything that would normally block the vision of stuff. Unless it's specifically a smoke grenade, then you stand a bit more of a chance. But even then, they're pretty damn good at shooting through it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crap.
Because I don't know if you
that's just plain awful. You can't see what's shooting at you anyway, and they headshot you, and you're just like, huh, okay.
The opposite of that was in Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, the first one, where you could throw a smoke grenade and they couldn't see through it at all, so they wouldn't shoot you. So you could then walk into the open and pick them off one by one with a thermal sight. And they would just stand there. It was really hilarious. So that's the exact opposite situation.
Yeah,
it made smoke grenades like insanely powerful because you could use them to kill everyone. Anyway,
actually, the most common form of death was not necessarily in Modern Warfare 2. Your most common form of death is getting shot by something you can't see. In Black Ops, you tend to just explode every now and then.
Oh, okay.
You sort of walk into an area and something goes bang, and you're dead, and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah,
I think I must be wearing my bomb shoes today.
I have kind of a love-hate relationship with the grenade indicator in Call of Duty in general. I mean, I think it's a good idea, and it does work. But
you can't see them.
Sometimes, no, you can't see them, because in Halo, it has no grenade indicator, but it doesn't really matter, because obviously it's a sci-fi game, so they can get away with this, but the grenades are, really obvious where they are.
Yeah, they're huge, and they have even the frag grenades in Halo Reach have an orange trail.
Exactly, so you can see where they are and hear where they're bouncing, but there's no way you can see the grenades in Call of Duty, and the grenade indicator, it points towards them, but not really in 3D space, because it has to be an element of the HUD. So it's not obvious. So when you see it, you're like, oh god, I've got to run, but I've got to run away from it now. Which way is away from it? And then sometimes you run into it and it changes the icon into the throwback. And I don't think I've ever successfully thrown back a grenade. So when I see that icon, I run even faster because I'm like, oh god. And I don't know. And then the worst thing is, the grenade goes off, and then it says, you were killed by a grenade. Watch for the grenade indicator. I'm like, I was fucking watching for the grenade indicator.
It didn't help.
Damn it. Yeah, I don't know.
There are a lot of moments in the game where it's like, okay, now that I've done that section and died, I now know where everyone is, and it's easier. The fact that, I mean, that's not uncommon, but you wouldn't, half the stuff that happens, you wouldn't have known until you've done it and died.
Yeah,
it's almost too much sometimes. Like picking the route is more important than actually being good, or picking the route and picking the timing. Like if you're too fast, you die. If you're too slow, you die. If you do it at just the right speed and just the right amount of gunnage, you'll get through.
I really like games that it's a real art form, and I think Half-Life does it so well. But of making sure you understand what you're doing the first time through, but without holding your hand. Do you see? It's really difficult because Half-Life never comes up with a message saying shoot the oil drums or something, unlike Call of Duty, which does. But
shoot the pins out of the door.
Yeah,
shoot the hinges.
You always kind of know what to do, even the first time through, because so they're better at explaining what to do without even explicitly explaining what to do, because sometimes games trip up where they explain what to do and they're actually explaining it slightly wrong. That's the worst. I mean, that does happen, doesn't it?
It's not like in Half-Life, it's like Robin just said, like, shoot the pins out of the door. That, that's because it's like, Half-Life couldn't have done that because it wasn't advanced enough to do that. But because it's something like slightly, like shoot the lock off a door or whatever, and like even in Half-Life 2, when you had to shoot the lock off a door, that wasn't necessarily immediately obvious the first time you had to do it. It was like, holy shit, a new thing.
But you work it out without dying, don't you?
Well, that's because in Half-Life 2, the first time you see that, there's no one there.
Exactly, but that's good. That's how they teach you.
But in like a modern game where you've got these like complicated but realistic maneuvers, you can't get away with just like inherently understanding that. It's like in Half-Life 1, it's like, oh, barrels are explosive, you can shoot them to make them explode. That's not complicated.
No, that's true. That's not.
But understanding the mechanics of like, you can like shoot these specific parts of a door to make it open.
Well,
it's probably too complicated to know sort of naturally.
I mean, Call of Duty goes to the level of highlighting it and actually putting a prompt on screen most of the time you need to do something, and or a big bit of mission text. There is one point in the game where you don't get that, and that suddenly becomes difficult. It took me a few years to figure out the approach that it was trying to tell me to do. It's like your teammate starts shouting, "We need to improvise, Mason," and then does something.
Is that the bit with the oil drums?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's the bit I was going to say. That is the single most annoying part of the game, is that section, because the wells are everywhere. They spawn really fast, and the oil drums you're supposed to be kicking down are in the open.
Right.
So you kick the oil drum, and for some reason you're invulnerable whilst doing the sequence, but as soon as it finishes, everyone's got their gun trained on you, so you die. Unless you get incredibly lucky, and they just happen to not be there. That was the longest section, I think, of the game that I had to keep playing over and over and over until eventually I just happened to do it when there were lulls in the waves, and it was. But that's the thing; it's just hard to predict. You shoot everyone you think you can see, and by the time you get to the barrel and push it, there's someone right there, and it was awful. That section is probably my hated. But at the same time, the atmosphere of it and what's going on and everything is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's like it's an awesome set piece for the spectacle, but for the gameplay, it's terrible. It's my whole opinion of the game is very up down like that. That for every bit of awesome, there's something that just pisses you off. And also it has Eminem in the end credits, which is pretty cool.
Well, it's got Ice Cube in the game, hasn't it?
Yeah, Ice Cube plays. Surprisingly, not the character I thought he was playing, and Gary Oldman is actually in the credits as well.
God.
Which is kind of cool. And I've played the Secrets as well, like the arcade game, which is actually pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I have to say the corrections column of last week. we were getting confused because you were talking about the arcade game and I was talking about sod off O2 UK. You were talking about the arcade game and I was talking about the zombie
two-stick shooter.
But the arcade game is, that's why we got confused. But also in corrections from last week, I said that there are 2 or 3 AC-130s. There are about 25. And they're about $190 million each, whereas the B-2 bomber, which I compared it to, is actually 4 times more expensive, at $737 million each.
Huh. Bloody hell.
So yeah, that's the most expensive aircraft of all time, I would have thought. So
the B-2s,
yeah, they're ridiculous. But still,
I didn't figure that one. Is that the cost of the payload as well, or just the aircraft?
Well, it's the flyaway cost, so I think. So it's like it's the combined cost of development of the aircraft plus the manufacturing cost, you know? So
okay.
So if you take all the costs of the whole program and all the manufacture and then divide it by the number of bombers made, that's how much. Yeah. It's
not how much it actually takes to make one, like we as a consumer think of it. It's how much the government essentially spent per
aircraft
in total. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a sensible way of looking at it.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, I played the arcade. The arcade game's pretty cool. You could get power-ups and weaponry and flying chickens that act as your buddies on occasion. And
cool. You could play that online, can't you?
I don't think so.
I heard
maybe.
you could.
No, because when you access the arcade machine, it goes to a like an insert coin menu, and then eventually sort of just starts the game. I don't think you get any options.
Okay. Fair enough.
You can play the zombie game online, obviously, but the actual
right.
main zombie game. And I see what you mean about the end section, the sort of like after credits bonus this time. It is totally awesome.
Yeah, it's freaking sweet. I mean, I just saw a video of that and I was like, this makes me want to buy the game more than anything else.
Yeah, it's just funny. I haven't tried playing it at if I select zombie mode just to see if I play as the characters involved, but
I think you would, yeah.
Just what the doctor ordered.
So cool. So yeah, I played
through
Modern Warfare 2. But, I mean, the story in that, I know I've said before, but it is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just...
Modern Warfare 1 story sort of gets away with it, but Modern Warfare 2, it's just immense.
Well, I thought, because the thing is, Modern Warfare, like, my favourite levels are probably that bit where you go into Pripyat and you're following... What's that level called? On your way in to assassinate Zakar.
Oh, Gillies in the Mist.
Gillies in the Mist. That's my favourite, and it's kind of ironic, because that's probably the level with the least shooting. But I enjoy those levels, because you feel so cool.
You can get through the entire level by only killing a couple of guys, can't you?
Yeah. But I don't mind that, because I think that level's great, and I love that you're in the SAS, and it feels like it could have really happened, almost a Black Ops vibe, because that is almost into the Cold War and stuff. But then now it's become so ridiculous that in Modern Warfare 2 you're like attacking a castle, which is being bombed by F-15s or F-18s, sorry, and you're going in, and Task Force 141 just seems like something much more out of 24 than out of, it just seems silly. Yeah. I don't know, somehow. And, I don't know. And also, no Russian. Playing through that again, that scene is in bad taste, I think. I mean, the media say a lot of bad things about gaming in general, which I obviously disagree with. But that scene, I don't think it was really justified by the story. And I think you could
it's a little
say,
unnecessary, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's unnecessary and just there for the sake of stirring up controversy, and I think it was in poor taste. So I don't like that. But anyway, that's not really much to do with the. And in terms of the gameplay, I started having twice as much fun once I went into the menu and turned off the auto aim thing, because I cannot use that thing. cannot use it.
It's almost essential, though, to doing it in hard mode.
Yeah, I just played through in normal and turned that off because I had much more fun that way. I'm sure it's very useful in hard mode.
I actually struggle to remember that it exists, and in places I sort of wish I do, because it does make certain firefights a lot easier when you remember to use it. Like, if there's a load of guys at the end of a corridor, for instance, it's so much easier to just snap snap out, and shoot them.
Left, right, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just don't... I just don't think it's a fun mechanic, and there's something about it that I don't like, which is really weird because Red Dead Redemption has quite a similar kind of lock-on kind of thing where you hold down the left, and it has a similar thing. I was absolutely fine with it. In fact, I really liked it in Red Dead, but there's something about the way it works in Call of Duty that I just don't like somehow.
Well, sometimes it's a little unpredictable, and it will snap to something you don't want to.
Yeah.
Like it will snap to the target you weren't originally trying to look at, and just won't snap to the guy you want to shoot. That can be
stuff
irritating.
Like that. And also, I think in Red Dead it has even more level, where when you snap to, it kind of holds your aim on the guy's head, I think, for a few seconds at least, or until you move the thing. Whereas in Call of Duty, it just snaps to where he was, and then if he was actually moving, then you're looking down the sights and he's run to the left. And do you see what I mean?
Which is fine. That sort of makes sense because you're supposed to sort of be you're supposed to have some input on the aim.
Yeah, but sometimes it's like, okay, I'm zoomed in, but what am I actually looking at? Because you can tell it's snapped because it's moved your view, but then you're not looking at anything in particular exciting. You're like, well, and now I have to turn, but which way do I turn? Because I can't see because my iron sight is, I don't know. So I turned that off, and I had a lot more fun that way. But one of the things I don't know. I hate it when games have a scripted bit where you're supposed to mess up. Do you know?
Oh, yeah. It's confusing, isn't it?
It's very confusing.
And it's very common in Call of Duty.
Very common in Call of Duty. Like there was a bit in that castle level at the end, for like the 5th time it seems, it's like, run and jump on the helicopter. And I'm like, I've done this about 15 times in Call of Duty, running and jump. I mean, it was really cool at the end of the first level of Call of Duty 1.
There's only one of those in Black Ops. There's only one of those in Black Ops.
But in Modern Warfare
There's still
2,
one, though.
You have to jump onto it in the favela level, at least. You have to jump onto it. In fact, you try and jump and you miss or something, and you fall down. And then there's a bit where you have to run without a gun. And I found that to be the most fun part of the whole favela level, because that level is so annoying. That
level is the worst. It's my personal hated part of the game.
Yeah,
there's always some bit of a game you don't like, and the favela is by far the winner for that. It's another one of those. How was I supposed to know there was a guy there?
Yeah, because they're on top of the roof and you can barely see them. And the way I ended up doing it was like literally stepping forward slowly through the level until they started shooting me, then running back, and then trying to work out from their bullet trails where they were. You know, and so you step forward slowly, and then the window opens suddenly, and there's an enemy there. You know, and then run away, and and the thing is, because the game is putting you under artificial pressure to chase this enemy character, and you could take as long as you like over the level, and you kind of know that, but the game is still because you want to be invested in the story of the game, you want to rush and chase after the guy and catch him.
Which isn't possible.
Which isn't possible, because you're just going to get murdered. So you might as well do it methodically. And then there's people in your earpiece saying, "We got to catch him! Run! He's running across the rooftop." And it's like, no, he's not. Yeah, but then that bit where you fall down... He's
currently stopped having a tea break while I kill these dudes.
Exactly. And then there's a bit where you kind of run, and you, instead of seeing a gun in front of you, you see your hands like you're running really fast. It looks really hilarious. And you peg it, and then you jump onto the helicopter at the end, and it's like, I've got you! Anyway, but then, so it's, you're and the bottom of the castle, and you've got to run and get to the helicopter, and it's right there, and you can see it, and you're running towards it, and so you press the sprint button, and you run ahead of everyone, and then there's a rock fall, and you die. Okay? And I then realised what you're supposed to do is not run as fast as them, and then the rock fall happens in front of you and stops your progress, right? So,
But how are you supposed to know that?
How are you supposed to know that? You're running as fast as you can because you... Anyway, so if you compare that to the sequence in Half-Life 2 where in Black Mesa East, where the rockfall happens between Alex and you, what happens there is if you run too fast using the sprint function, it throws up an invisible wall to stop you dying, and although that is a bit cheap, it's better than having you just die, you know?
Yeah.
from a rockfall that you had no way of predicting, that was scripted.
I mean, I'll be honest, Black Ops does occasionally suffer from the invisible wall problem. Like, you think, oh, I could go around there, and then I could get at that dude, and then it's like, oh, no, wait, I can't. Damn.
Yeah.
It does occasionally suffer from that.
Okay. But that's a case where I think putting an invisible wall there might have been a good idea, because I just died. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I can imagine, I didn't get affected by them, but I think I saw a couple of moments in Black Ops where that could happen.
Yeah.
Where you could go too fast and then get killed by an environmental
that was scripted to
action.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a bit later on where you get out a Predator drone, which are really cool, by the way. I really like them in Modern Warfare 2. They're really fun to use, the Predators. I mean, yeah. So, but there's a bit towards the end where you have to break out. You're going for that submarine, and you break out a Predator drone, and it gets shot down almost immediately, and that is scripted. But you don't know that. It's not obvious. You think, hang on. What happened was it got blown up, and I thought, shit, I'll go back to the checkpoint. I'll come back here, and then I'll try and kill the SAM site with my Predator drone before my Predator gets shot down. Because obviously Predators are worth millions of dollars. It's not supposed to get shot down, and yet it is. The reality of the situation is the RAF own 2 Reaper drones. If one of them got shot down, which it did,
that'd be a bit of a problem.
It was a big deal. Yeah, actually they have 5 now, I think, but at the time they only had 2. One that got shot down, and they had to send in the SAS to destroy the wreckage, stop it falling in Afghanistan. Oh, sorry, Taliban hands, I suppose. Yeah. But yeah, and it's like, oh, and then in terms of the actual, because it's supposed to be it has all these guns which are supposed to be really realistic and stuff, and it's supposed to be sort of authentically military-wise, but Price launches a nuclear missile out of that submarine in a submarine base which is on the far east of Russia, right? And that missile travels across the world to Washington. Now, submarine-launched ballistic missiles do not have the same range as intercontinental ballistic missiles. That missile could travel about as far as Japan, but it could not travel that far. I mean, and then there's a sequence where you're an astronaut above with the International Space Station. Somehow the International Space Station gets destroyed by a shockwave that is somehow traveling through the vacuum of space.
Yes,
I was trying to think, how could that missile actually hurt the space station? I was thinking if it was close enough, then it would melt the space station.
Or you'd get an EMP blast, perhaps.
Well, the EMP, interestingly, I mean, EMPs happen because it's complicated, but it's to do with the nuke going off in the upper atmosphere. So if the nuke went off in the vacuum of space, there would be no EMP effect. Because it's to do with the atmosphere and a lensing effect. Because if you detonate a nuke in a normal place, like on the ground, you don't get a significant EMP effect. But because you detonate it in a certain place in the atmosphere, that's how you get the big EMP effect, actually. So,
interesting.
Yeah. So, but, I mean... But it was just so silly when you're like an astronaut and then you get killed by a nuke, which is miles across, anyway, which is launched. And it's sort of a combination of all these factors just made it seem even more silly. I don't know. Anyway, I should stop ranting. But
it's trying to be authentic and blockbuster at the same time. Unfortunately, Modern Warfare 2 takes the step to blockbuster a little too much, to the point where you just think... I'll tell you what it reminds me of. Transformers 2.
Right, yeah.
In that they tried to make everything bigger and better, and ultimately, what can be wrong with 2.5 hours of robot fights? And it ultimately just gets irritating and confusing, and...
It is almost... You almost have to do the Shia LaBeouf thing in order to get through the game. The Shia LaBeouf thing is that whenever he has a line in the script that says, go, go, or whatever, which he does because it's an action film, he says that line about 50 times. So he goes, go, 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 go. It's really funny. If you ever watch a film with Shia LaBeouf, just watch out for whenever he has to say something like go or no or something. No, 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 no. He says it 50 different times instead of just saying it once. And it's the same. It's like you've got to get past the enemy world. Go, 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 go. And you're like running through the aircraft boneyard. And you just have to get to the end of the level. Yeah, and they're all fighting each other. So it's just go, 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 go.
I'll tell you what, there was an awful lot more F-bombs in Black Ops.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
There's a lot more swearing in Black Ops. Except for the fact that in the subtitles, they carefully mark pretty much every instance of swearing with a load of garbled characters. So it's like, let's fucking go, is marked as, let's garble, 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 go. Not actually the word garble, but you know what I mean. Because that would be funny. Let's garble, go.
Let's garble, go.
But apart from one moment where one of the characters goes, fucking A, and it just writes fucking, as in Fuckena.
Right,
so,
in the
fucking
subtitles.
A. And it's just like,
weird.
Isn't that supposed to be fucking A? So for some reason, fucking A, not a swear anymore.
Where's that car? Is that Zach's place?
No, that's mine.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
that's a really noisy car.
It's a bassy car. So you play as the same guy for... Is it all of Black Ops?
No, there are moments where you go on you go off and play as a couple of other characters. I mean, the ending is quite cool because you see it from two different points of view. You play as one character for one bit, and then you go back and do it again, but as a different character. And it's quite well done, actually.
I like that idea. But I found that in Modern Warfare 2, they took that to a ridiculous extreme. I mean, it made sense originally in Call of Duty because you had to be different characters in order to be in the United States Army and the Russian Army and the British Army, for those parts of the World War II. It didn't really matter who you were. Your character wasn't important. It was just being in the right place. Yeah. But then, of course, in Call of Duty 4, they made your character more important. And you were Soap in Call of Duty 4 when you were with the SAS, right?
Most of the time, yeah.
And then in Modern Warfare 2, you start off as Roach and you're with Soap. So Soap is then an NPC. So the guy you played from the first game is now an NPC. But then later on in the game, you end
Roach up as
again,
him again.
But you end up being Soap then again, playing as Soap, right?
Yeah.
And Call of Duty 4, when you went back to Pripyat, you were playing as Price, right?
Yes, you basically take control of the characters that you're initially sort of looking at and things like that. And Black Ops does that as well to a certain extent. There are scenes where you're fighting with characters that you occasionally play as.
But sometimes it's like, who am I now?
Yeah.
The fact that you're at the beginning of Modern Warfare 2 story, you're a United States Army Ranger soldier in Afghanistan, and then that same soldier is the one in No Russian. But there's no context for that. There's no, real... It just sort of explains away. Oh, he got picked because he did so well in that mission in Afghanistan. He got picked to go undercover. And then that's it. That's No Russian, and then that's the end of him, isn't it? So...
Yeah.
And then you switch to, I don't know, there's so many characters and it gets really confusing. And then when some of them kind of get killed off and stuff, you get confused. When I was getting killed off in first person, I wasn't thinking, oh God, I was thinking, hang on, who am I now? Who's getting killed?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I think I'd rather be, what's his name? Alex Mercer or Mason? You're confusing me.
Yeah, Mason. It is Mason again.
That's right.
Not to be confused with Alec Mason.
That's right. And he's played by the guy from Avatar, isn't he? Apparently really badly.
Oh, is it? Oh, he's not that bad, actually. I didn't think the voice acting in the game was...
He sounds a bit Australian, apparently, sometimes. Because presumably he is Australian.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, thinking about it, yeah, there probably are moments where he drifts a little bit, but... It's not too bad. It's not, it's not the best voice acting I've heard in the world, but it's not awful. And in fact, Gary Oldman's characters, I think he plays the Russian Reznov in the game. His portrayal is actually pretty good.
Well, he played that Russian terrorist in Air Force One, didn't he, years ago?
Yes.
With Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Get off my plane! And all that.
I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
I was about to say that. Oh, dear. So Any other things about?
Well, on a different note, I have dipped into the multiplayer a little bit.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Again, the sort of same rules apply. It is Call of Duty. It's Modern Warfare 2, but made slightly more fun. And yeah, it's the same old. So you still have the same sort of frustration and things like that, but not quite so much of it.
Right.
It's a little bit better, in my opinion.
Okay.
But if you didn't get on with the previous ones, you're still not going to get on with this. It's better, but if you didn't like it before, you're not going to get into it.
I had a look at some people were playing One in the Chamber, and that looked really fun.
The wager matches, I haven't actually played many of them yet. I think because I'm having connection issues, to be honest, with the multiplayer system, in that I can't join a game on my own. I have to wait for my brother to join a game, then do the Xbox guide thing, join game,
right,
and then I can get in. If I try and search for a game on my own, it never finds them. And if I try and join a game as a party using the game's lobby system or whatever, that doesn't work either.
Right.
Rick just goes ahead and enters the game, and I get left behind.
Right.
So basically, I'm having proper connection issues with the game at the moment.
Okay.
Which I don't know. I don't know if that's their fault or if it's just my fault. Because I think I'm having problems with Xbox Live in general at the moment. But so yeah, don't take that to heart. It's just my experience. It's a bit poop at the moment.
Have you seen One in the Chamber though? I think that.
Yeah. I've seen some videos of it. It's pretty cool.
Because what is it? It's one hit kill, and you get one bullet.
One bullet, and if you kill someone with that bullet, you get the bullet, another bullet.
You get another bullet. No, you can kill someone with melee. Does that not give you another bullet?
Oh, it might do. I don't know.
I think it does. If you kill anyone, you get another bullet, but you can melee kill still instantly. So, it just that looks really fun. Apparently, you can psych out your enemy, because if you have 2 bullets, you can deliberately miss, and then he thinks you have no bullets, and then you just kill him. And he runs up and you kill him. Stuff like that. I don't know. It looks crazy.
It's like the Sticks and Stones looks like fun as well. Sort of like crossbows, and if you kill someone you get points as you kill people in that game with crossbows and things like that. But if you manage to kill someone with the throwing axe or the tomahawk, they lose all their points.
Oh my god, that's really powerful.
It's quite harsh. So everyone, but there's you only get one use of your throwing axe, so you've got to. You're trying to sort of stay alive and at the same time shoot people and score points for yourself, but at the same time everyone's sort of thinking, oh, I wonder if I can get away with using that.
Yeah. Cool.
And it can really turn the tide of a battle, so that looks pretty fun.
Okay.
Oh, and the new theatre system is actually very cool as well, because I was watching some replays that my brother had made, and you get to, unlike the Halo system where you have to take a clip using camera controls and things like that, you can take a clip from first person, you can then take a clip from a camera path, and then stitch them together, so you actually make a nice little movie in the game and stuff like that, so you can see something from one angle, then see it again from a different angle. And
I can tell they're cool because people have used those in-game tools to make videos and then uploaded them to YouTube, and some of them are really hilarious.
It's really well done, actually.
There's one where a guy shot down an incoming care package helicopter, and then the care package flew through the air, and then someone came out from under a door and it just crushed him.
Yeah.
It's really hilarious. Stuff like that.
Some great little moments like that.
So that's Call of Duty, I think.
Yeah, I'll stop on that. Hopefully I'll probably never talk about it again.
No, we can still talk about it. Well, if we play some multiplayer, then we can expand on that. So,
indeed, if we can get it to work.
Played anything else, or shall I move on to Zach Burgess?
Yeah, it's probably worth moving on to Zach. I don't think I've played much else since San Francisco got in the way.
Okay, Zach, are you still there?
Yes.
How's it going, man? Yeah, I don't think you said anything about that snippet about Half-Life, so let's get back into it. What have you been playing, man?
Oh, I have several things to talk about, I guess, apart from probably not actually really things to talk about, because they just need a mention and then that'll be it.
That's okay.
For example, it's you can start with saying that I logged back into Eve now that there was that free time and everything.
Oh yeah.
And because the patch hasn't come out yet, nothing really has changed. So there's not really anything to say about Eve.
Nothing to report then?
Well, there was one
so
thing
why
that I
did you
noticed.
log in? Hang on, why did you log in if the patch hasn't come out then?
Because the offer...
Oh, because you had the free offer.
time only ended at, 21st of November or something.
So will you have time? Will you be there when the patch comes out, or does it depend?
Presumably. I mean, they say it's a winter patch, which means it should happen soon-ish. Normally, when they say winter patch, it means within this year, not January or whatever.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So go on.
So it's the only real thing that I noticed that had changed up to this. I mean, there's been a couple of patches that have supposedly fixed various weird UI bugs, but those are the kind of things where it's if you don't know of that bug, you're never going to notice when they patch it.
Yeah.
I have some Eve news. Did you hear about the Eve theft of that somehow made joystick headlines?
Well, another one.
Yeah, there was a group of people running a
lottery.
Running a lottery system, and obviously that means I had to have a stockpile of billions of ISK and prizes and things like that. And one of the guys who was helping them run it just thought, fuck it, stole a load of money, and then ransomed it back to them. It's you can have all of this money if you give me this much money out of it, and things like that. So...
That didn't make much sense to start off with. It's I'm going to ransom this money for money.
For money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's you can have more money back if you can have more of your money back if you let me keep some of it, kind of thing. And the weird part of the story is that the guys were quite, honest about it and said, you know what, we're not too bummed about losing the money. And it's if we would have given it to him had he asked.
If he just asked, yeah. It's just sad we lost our friend. Yeah. He turned out to be a backstabbing bastard. Yeah.
It's a weird state of affairs. I mean, I wonder how accurate Eve is as a social commentary on modern life.
Well, the thing is, in Eve you could do anything there, can't you?
That everyone is a bastard, obviously.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Maybe games like that actually do reveal your inner tendencies.
Well, it's not true that everyone is a bastard in Eve. Well, maybe it is to the...
You have to assume
you have to
everyone is.
cooperate. Yeah, you have to. You can't trust anyone, because even if someone was trustworthy in real life, they might be a bastard in the game as a role-playing thing,
Yeah.
Because that's part of the fun of the game, really.
Well,
I would never really...
You play any card game, do you? It's you stole the fucking health. It's hee.
Well, I guess, but it's not on the scale.
Is a bastard automatically, because...
Yeah.
If you don't do that, then when someone is a bastard, you'll be really easy to take advantage of. You have to automatically assume everyone is trying to murder you or take advantage of you somehow. Because that's the only way you can protect yourself from being taken advantage of.
It's like real life.
Wow.
Lol.
So hide your kids, hide your wife, because they're raping everybody.
Anton Dobson. That'd be amazing if he was on Eve.
Oh, I'll tell you what I did see. Auto-Tune the News made headline news for that in America.
Oh, I'm not surprised, actually.
It had a spot on the breakfast news now.
Because they split the profits from that song on iTunes 50-50 with Anton Dobson.
Awesome.
So, yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so is that all your Eve news, then?
Well, the only other thing that I noticed that was something they must have patched before they did this UI patching, which I didn't see anything particularly different of, was they very slightly made planet scanning faster.
Woo!
Which is woo. Now instead of
taking a leaf out of the Mass Effect book.
Well, sort of. It's now you double click on the scan on the extractor to do a scan, and it takes only 1 second for the menu to open instead of 3. It's woo, time saving. Also, the icons turn yellow when they have orders that are waiting but not submitted, so it makes it easier to tell which ones you've already checked, which is sort of useful as well. But supposedly in the stupid incursion patch thing that's coming up with all the NPCs and shit, they're supposed to be doing some stuff on the planetary side of things as well, where the extractors will get new systems to make them slightly more, sort of analog in their extraction rates. So instead of only having 4 options, we might have a slider, which would be sort of useful possibly. and a train.
This does sound quite esoteric, to be honest. Like, I've no idea what you're talking about, really. I know vaguely, but...
I was on the point of zoning out.
Yeah, me too.
It's not complicated.
No, but we just, yeah. So, no one cares. That's it.
Beat me to it.
No, it's cool. So you been playing anything else?
Well, yes. I mean, apart from... Rob sort of already mentioned it, but like the Psycho Pinball thing where I...
Oh, yeah.
That was basically because I was fucking around with seeing if I could get various things, old games that I found that I still had on my external hard disk working in DOSBox now. So I got several various things working. Mainly pinball things.
Yeah.
Like Psycho Pinball and Pinball Illusions.
Pinball Illusions.
And Pinball Dreams.
What was that? I don't remember those.
Digital Illusions were a company back in the Amiga days that essentially they only made pinball games, but they made 3 fairly famous at the time pinball games. So there's Pinball Dreams, Pinball Fantasies, and Pinball Illusions. Pimple. Pimple Illusions, yeah.
Don't want those kinds.
Yeah, so they were quite famous for that, and they were basically top of their game at the time. And and then disappeared. Presumably because they released Pinball Illusions on PC, and at the time we didn't have a PC that could run it, nor did we ever seem to have a PC that could run it until DOSBox came along.
Yeah, it's like they missed the window of having the correct hardware combined with DOS. You had to wait until you had emulated DOS on extreme hardware to be able to run it again, and it's like, woo. Apart from, as we discovered with like Pinball Dreams, the PC version of it is slightly different to the Amiga one that we knew and was so much more hilarious.
Cool. It's not as cool. There are bits missing.
No.
Or they've changed the graphics and certain sound effects are missing, and it's generally the Amiga version is better.
That's generally what I found with a couple of other things. Like I also got like a DOS version of The Incredible Machine, and it's like, this is not how I remember it. It's slightly worse. Also, maybe some of the files are missing on that one, because there only seems to be like half the music or something, so some levels you just don't get any sound. It's like, what?
Man, they should put that game on iPhone. They make a fortune.
Man, yeah, The Incredible Machine, or, a decent... We talked about this before, didn't we? A remake of or a decent version of The Incredible Machine, or maybe a reboot, is probably in order. Because it appeals to casual gamers, doesn't it?
Yeah, it totally does. It'd be sweet, with the like mice and the cheese and the fans and... so cool.
Dudes and the crocodiles.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Genius.
And then I also got working on... I also have a version of DOSBox that has Windows 3.1 installed, so I can run shit on Windows 3.1 So
what do you need that for?
Well, the reason I had that was someone was using it to run Drago. So Drago's
right.
base. But
you have a way of doing that anyway.
Because I ran that... You could run that normally on like XP if you fiddled around with it a bit and installed some weird like extra files and stuff. But it didn't have all the full options. Like it didn't have the way the map changes with the seasons. I mean, it's only a graphical thing. It doesn't actually affect the game. But so anyway, this DOSBox Windows 3.1 lets you have the proper graphics so that you can have the background change with the seasons and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Which is pointless, but cool that it works properly. So I had that from there. And then on that Windows 3.1 install, I also managed to get working like Outpost for Weird and Confusion and Chips Challenge.
Chips Challenge?
Like, Chips Challenge, lol.
Isn't that an Atari game?
No, it used to be an old Windows 3 game
thing.
Oh, yeah. No, sorry, I was getting confused. Oh, because I had the Windows Arcade Pack, and then that was in the Arcade Pack 2, wasn't it? Microsoft Arcade. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
yes.
Because I had one of them.
Because it had Arcade, the first one, had asteroids and centipede and stuff, but they'd been converted from the original Arcade vector graphics into really well done into pixelized.
They were exact copies, weren't they?
Yeah, they were pretty much spot on. I mean, that Asteroids was really good. In fact, that game inspired me to make that Dodge concept thing. game, which you could still play online right now because it's actually hosted by the Vcade. So if you go on there, you can still play
the Vcade.
Yeah, for some reason, which is completely different now. Anyway, but Chip's Challenge was in the second pack of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
And while I was also rummaging around in various abandonware sites, I discovered that the actual guy who originally programmed Ski Free has updated it to run on 32-bit systems.
Oh.
So you don't even have to run that in DOSBox or anything. You just have Ski Free on your desktop as a single exe file.
I heard there was a way to escape the thing, but I can't remember
I think
how.
you just have to go really fast or something.
That's
or
it.
diagonally. It's like one of those things where you travel slightly faster at certain angles or something.
Yeah, there was some trick to it. I can't remember what it was. What's it? It's a Bigfoot thing.
Yes.
Yeah, Sasquatch.
Yeti, that's it. Sasquatch, yeah. Yeah. Ski Free.
Yeah. I now have... It's like, wow, that was really weird that some random dude would update his ancient game.
Well, he worked for
classic.
Microsoft or something, didn't he? Or someone. He
Yeah.
worked in some boring job, and then he made it, like... Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
he made
it
Ski Free
available.
just casually, like, in his off time. And then someone saw him playing it and was like, we're going to steal that and put that out as a Microsoft Game Pack game or whatever.
It's freaking awesome. I like Ski Free.
That was always a classic.
We should make a version for Kinect. Where you got attacked by like a massive, horrifying Yeti at the end. Your avatar just gets devoured. That'd be so cool. Oh man!
And the trick to the game was to try and move your body in new and interesting ways to make the Yeti sort of fall over or something. You could make a dramatic game about Ski Free.
Yeah,
it's one of those things that perhaps should have been in Kinect Adventures, like a skiing game.
Skiing would make sense for Kinect, I think. Not that.
Well, I don't know. The body movements are a little
Kinect.
weird, aren't they? Because they've already proved with free riders that snowboarding might be a little odd.
Well, the thing with skiing is it can tell the depth. So when you moved your hands forward to do the pushing thing, it would be able to tell.
That's true. You could do the push action.
Yeah, for example. I don't know
but
about
yeah,
the move.
the leaning might be a bit odd.
That's true. Anyway,
Still,
have you seen
someone do it?
Some of the crazy stuff people are doing with Kinect already, because it got like broken into within about 2 hours of launch.
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 hours. It
It's
got
really
hacked
funny.
for Linux.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, it's
So-
not really a hack. It's just someone managed to write a decent device driver.
Yeah, which is pretty
I'm
cool.
hearing positive things from friends in the continent who have one, and they're coming back saying, yeah, generally, actually, it's pretty good. So
Who
this is
do
the
you mean?
first sort of actual direct hands-on experience comment I've heard.
Well, I think it looks really cool, but it doesn't look like anything I'd want to play. It's the same as the Wii.
Yeah, at the moment, and it's the same with the Move at the moment. The tech.
Yeah.
At
Well, the
moment,
Move
these
is
are all
actually
this-
the best. I think the Move is the best kind of motion control tech for fidelity.
It's the
one
most
I'd be-
accurate, yeah.
It's the one I'd be most interested in actually playing a proper game with. But it's not the most fun, is it? Because Kinect looks more
No,
fun.
I think
to be honest.
if they can get the Kinect right, in the sense that I know EA has done a fitness game for it, but I don't think that's done particularly well for itself, or I don't think it's getting particularly positive reviews. If someone can get the fitness thing right, then they've immediately toppled Nintendo's Wii Fit.
I think Kinect is definitely better for fitness games. It will prove
Absolutely.
to be. I'm absolutely certain.
Because there's only
But
so
not-
much
Wii
you can
Fit-
do with that balance board.
That's true.
Well, it's like Wii Fit was barely a fitness game. It's not really the same market. It's like
it's all yoga and
it's like my-
stretches and stuff, and it's
like my
actually
parents
pretty
have
good.
that EA whatever it was, EA Active or something on the Wii.
Yeah.
That had that
EA
weird
Sports Active.
like what do you call it? It's just like it's basically a big long strip of rubber that acts as like the spring-loaded part for the actions.
The garrote wire.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, they have that, and it's like that's clearly a fitness game. It actually sort of works, and it from what I saw when I was just observing, because obviously I didn't bother. It's like fuck fitness. But it's just like that looked like that looked like an actual sort of program that could work. I mean, it worked on my parents apparently. My mum managed to keep up with the schedule for like an entire month.
Well,
Wow.
the good thing I've heard about the good thing I've heard about Kinect is that you do feel tired after playing the games, and that they are tiring. They are active. They are, the Wii was heralded as a hooray! No longer you have to sit in your armchair doing stuff, and it actually turned into hooray! We're sitting in our armchairs doing the same thing we've already done.
But that's okay by me.
Yeah, I mean, Kinect actually
when I play Zelda,
to...
I don't want to be worn out, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Kinect actually stands to be the opportunity of properly active gaming. In my eyes, it seems like.
Because the thing is, if you want to play a proper game, you've got a 360 right there and a gamepad. You could just sit down and play Assassin's Creed if you want to,
Exactly.
And then you could get up and play some Kinect,
Absolutely.
That's good. I think it definitely looks like if you played enough Dance Central, you would get pretty fit, because that game looks really active and really hard.
Yeah.
But that's the trouble with, like, the whole idea of active games, is, like, the more, like, the larger the movement, the less sort of, accurate, because it's like they're trying to make this like super high-tech sensitive, where it's like, oh, it can track your movements or whatever, but it can still only really track quite large movements to any significant. It's not like it's detecting your fingers, so you could like just play a controller game without a controller.
No, but it can actually detect. Like, I saw a demo. Someone had used that open source driver to turn it into like a puppet thing. So what they did was, the shadow puppet thing. But she would actually do like a shadow puppet on the wall and open her thumb from her fingers to do an opening motion, and the Kinect could actually tell that she was opening the mouth.
Yeah, that might be something because. That might be an interesting scenario because they may be closer to the camera. Is what I think about that. I don't think it has the fidelity for the skeletal recognition at the distance they need to see the whole body. But at that kind of distance, you could program it to do anything. If you really want it to see hand gestures, you could mount it on top of your computer monitor, for instance, and get really detailed hand stuff in front of you.
Would you be tempted to like actually do that for a Kinect game on the 360? Like, if you wanted to have like not like a non-standing up Kinect game where it's like only registering your hand motions, it's like move your Kinect camera closer to you now or something.
Yeah, that's not going to work, is it?
That's not going to work, no.
I mean, I have to say, the whole living room thing, I mean, I couldn't have it, and I don't think, Rob, that your living room is suitable. Even if you could make that coffee table disappear, I don't think you've got quite enough room.
No, it'll be fine for actually, because I can move I can move my couch back an extra
you need
meter,
to do that,
and
apparently
I can move it, and I can get rid of the
feet.
Yeah,
which is a long way.
Yeah,
anyway.
No, my room would be fine for it.
Probably all right.
Actually, the main problem would be the fact that I have the telly more in the corner of the room, so I'd actually have to point it more into the middle. I don't have a particularly centrally organised living room, do I? So
that's true, I suppose.
That would be more of a problem.
I guess if you want maximum length, you could go diagonally across the room.
Yeah. But anyway, that's my living room, people.
Yes, but it's an issue, though.
It is an issue. I think
Rob's spare room is not big enough to
then again,
a Kinect room.
No, but then again, the Move has the same issue. You have to stand about my couch length away in order to get.
It has the camera, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wii doesn't have that problem.
No, PlayStation Move does have the same issue, but probably not quite so much space as Kinect. But you still need to be a reasonable distance from the camera.
Right.
But then again, it doesn't need to see your whole body generally. It just needs to see the range in which the controller moves, so it's a little bit shorter.
So, Zeg, is that the extent of your gaming? A bit of DOSBox action and some Eeving?
Not quite, because I also reinstalled Startopia. Because that's what I do, apparently.
Everyone who hasn't played Startopia should play that. Like, if you like Theme Hospital, then play Startopia. Can you buy it anywhere? Is it on Steam or something?
No. Well, not on Steam, but I don't know if you can buy it anywhere. Maybe you can.
I don't know where you find it, listeners, but definitely, if you play Startopia, do, because it's awesome. Is it not, Zach?
Yes, it is pretty awesome.
And it is one of my favourite games of that type, Theme Hospital aside.
It still works surprisingly well under Windows 7, although not actually very well. I mean, it worked better on XP, definitely. Basically, the problem is, it's like I installed it, and it ran fine as far as I could tell. But then, if you install the almost critical patch, where it's like, if you don't install this, it's basically the only official patch, and it fixes like quite a few important bugs in like the actual game, where it's like people getting stuck or whatever. As soon as you install that, it still works, apart from for some reason I can't have it hardware rendered. I have to have it software rendered, which I guess isn't actually working very much.
No, that is a bit
not really.
But of course,
just to update you, it is still currently available from Game and Game Station for a $5, and you can download it for a $10 from the IDOS online store.
Oh, okay, that's not so.
Genius. But yeah, so. It's like it doesn't work very well. I mean, because computers being is ridiculously powerful compared to when this was made. Software rendering doesn't seem to have any problem. It runs pretty damn well, apart from if you turn the camera around to look like down the length of the station, so you're seeing like your entire population. Then it kind of gets laggy. But if you're just in like the normal semi top-down camera angle that it automatically puts you at, that's it runs fine.
So but just to let everyone know, though, I mean, it's like Theme Hospital, but for a space station, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's more like Theme Park than Theme Hospital.
Right.
Well, you get more control of your building, and there's more of an ecosystem to maintain.
Well, but it's more like Theme Hospital, where you drag the rooms out to size rather than Theme Park.
But that's a control thing rather than a game design thing.
It's more like a combination of them.
But your patients / park customers are like different alien races that want to use the kind of amenities of your space station for intergalactic travel purposes.
Or just trade and that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yes. So you just build rooms and stuff, and specific alien races have different jobs that you could hire them for. Like,
you could name them, couldn't you?
You could name individual blokes and then find them.
You could edit the INI file, couldn't you, that had all the names it picked randomly, so you could just change and have a whole list of... Couldn't you?
You could change the bits of names, so it would generate weird new names. Right. So you could set like a start, middle and end bit of the name, and it would splice them together.
Because wasn't it the original black and white that went through your Outlook contacts and like put all the names of your friends in as random villagers or something?
Yeah.
Because
that's totally secure.
I'm not entirely sure that'd be allowed these days.
No, I know. It did do something like that, though, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Unless you gave it a username and password to some service like Facebook or something, you'd never be able to get away with that these days.
Oh dear, Facebook connecting games. That has actually happened already, hasn't it?
Well, the PlayStation already has Facebook support.
Oh god.
In the sense that that games that support it will publish on Facebook when you get certain achievements or do certain things.
Anyway, how's your old pal Arona?
He's exactly the same as always. But yeah, so
he
anyway.
literally is your old pal now, isn't he?
Well, yeah.
It's been years.
So, as I was saying, I installed Saladcast. It seemed to run okay. I think I unpatched it was running on hardware. Then I installed the important patch and it was only run on software, which kind of sucked. And then there's this third patch that was basically made well after the studio had been dissolved by one of the developer guys. He basically made it as a sort of a tech demo because he wanted to show off how he could program shadows or something in this engine. So he made this advanced patch which improved the shadowing and various other lighting effects and stuff. That doesn't work at all in Windows 7 for some reason, which kind of sucks. So it's obviously this runs better on XP, which is kind of poop. But I also managed to find all the other little bits and pieces that I had, because for some reason the Startopia post still exists, which is this website where you can get skins and mods and extra levels and stuff. Still exists after all this time. Mainly because it's it's a sub part of File Planet or whatever, a sub site, like how they did Everything Planet or whatever.
Zach, if you're going to be doing this, why don't you just dual boot into XP? I mean,
that was my original plan, but I never got round to getting a working copy of XP. I have a disc with like Service Pack 2, but I think you need to have
update to 3 now, yeah.
Fucks up with like, and apparently I read up on this like when I first got the computer, but it's like they were saying you're going to have problems unless you install XP first and then install 7, because it doesn't like doing it the other way around. You have to like hack. You have to hack it by like editing weird files to make it realise that XP exists as a dual boot option. Which is
it's kind of hilarious that you.
I don't know. I'd investigate that further. That sounds mental. That it can. Yeah. Anyway, I find that hard to believe, that last bit.
Yeah, me too.
Well, they said like
amazing.
the simplified. It's like I went on this Windows 7 forum or whatever to read up about it, and it's like they boiled down the instructions to where it was like, okay, now you install XP, then you reboot the system, then you repair this file twice, and it was like incredibly specifically. It's like if you do the repair thing once, it doesn't work. You have to repair it twice. It's like, okay, that just sounds incredibly weird. But apparently, this was the way they'd worked out to do it. I'll get round to trying it eventually, probably. I still haven't got round to like reformatting my external hard disk so I can put all the stuff that I took off it that I put onto my actual hard disk back onto it again. Because that's sort of what I'm preventing me from doing. Because it's like I've got stuff on my computer that's taking up the space where XP should go, really. But that shouldn't be there. It should be on my external drive.
Details.
The only reason I wanted to format the external drive is because for some reason when I got the external drive it was formatted in FAT32 instead of NTFC. It's like, why? And of course I didn't notice that until I'd already put a shit ton of stuff on it.
A lot of external stuff does that though.
Does Windows 7 still use NTF, or is there a new one?
No, it's still based on NTFS.
Okay.
Yeah, because
because OS X uses a different
they wanted
file system.
Weren't they planning to change it to like that weird new FAT thing, FAT32X or whatever it's called? There's a new one, isn't there?
There's been several, to be honest, because the PlayStation has its own variant of FAT. I can't remember what the Mac system is, but I know it uses something called inodes in which to organise itself. Yeah, there's all kinds of. I'll be sure, like if a new format comes out and it does well for itself, Windows will just patch it in like they have done in the past.
Yeah, it doesn't really affect much once it's no. Anyway,
at the moment, it makes no difference.
No,
other than the fact that FAT32 has a size limitation, but
yeah,
it's still not bad.
It's better than FAT16. Anyway. FAT, File Allocation Table. What a brilliant acronym. It's FAT. What's NTFS? NT file system.
NT file system, yeah.
And NT was Windows NT, which is like stood for network, didn't it, or something?
Something like Net Terminal or something.
Oh, was it? Yeah, terminal. That would make sense. Network
maybe.
Terminal. Anyway, gaming. I think it's amazing that you have this awesome new PC and you're just how can I play these DOS games?
Important. That was the whole reason I wanted to have a dual boot XP, because it was like, oh man, nothing will work any longer.
You might as well dual boot like Windows 98 or something, so you can actually use DOS.
I probably would if I had a copy of Windows 98 to install from or something.
I think DOSBox is probably almost certainly your best option. Yeah.
Yeah. I was considering, it's like, well, if Windows 3.1 works in DOSBox, how much further can I go? Could I, install Windows 95 into DOSBox?
Probably could. Don't see why not. Somebody's probably tried. Anyway.
That'd be pretty funny. And somewhat ridiculous. It would just be so much easier if, you just had a virtual machine or whatever. But, of course, you can't get that very easily. You can get that, but not legitimately.
Yes, I was about to say. Not that we... Which way round was it? Not that we condone piracy, but we don't condone piracy. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's right.
I got that right. Woo!
Yeah, you did.
You can get hold of virtual machines for VMware and things like that with Windows already loaded on, but I don't recommend you do so.
We don't condone piracy, but we do condemn pirates. Condemn.
Well, I'm not sure I really condemn pirates as a concept.
No, that's true. Okay, wow. So, that's all the games, I guess.
Yeah. Apart from, obviously, Team Fortress, but we never need to talk about that. It's not like,
Nothing
you can assume that I've been playing that every week.
But you've been playing haven't you been playing
you do have
pro
some
game?
news. Yeah.
Although the last week or so, I've been doing so badly.
Really?
That's my main news about Team Fortress 2 this week. It's like, I've been playing real shit for some reason. It's because Rob was in America. That's obviously...
I'm
as soon as Rob is not in the vicinity.
What, he has some kind of aura that projects as far as Needham Market and like
I think I just make him look good.
Well, I'm not even there to I make you both look good. Oh man.
Come back!
Yeah, I'm going to try and get a new PC at the start of next year, or at least one because I want to be able to play Portal 2 and Deus Ex 3.
I saw that on Steam that Portal 2's release date is now like April.
Yeah, it's April now. Yeah, it's not that. It's not actually in terms of delays. It's only like a month or something, isn't it?
2 months. Because it was like set for February.
Oh right, okay.
It didn't even slip to March. It jumped straight to April, and it was like,
I saw this.
In the Valve grand scheme of things, that's not bad for them.
I saw this horrible theory on, I think it was on 4chan of why Valve Time exists, and it was a really elaborate joke, which was saying that like because Gabe Newell is so massive,
he has a gravity well.
He has a gravity well, which causes time dilation in the vicinity. So when the developers come away to E3 or something, and then they promise the release date, they're being genuine. But then when they go back, the time slows down for them because they're in proximity of Gabe Newell.
Wait. No, if time slows down for them, doesn't that mean that they can
relative
get
to
more
us
done in the time?
No, it's the other way around. It seems
time
to pass
speeds
normally
up for them relative to us.
Yeah, we look at them and they seem to be moving slower than us because they're near a black hole, which is Gabe Newell's vast bulk. So, and because there's a thing on Reddit which is every time that you make a fat joke about Gabe Newell, that they delay Half-Life 2 Episode 3 by another month. So that's like, but it just like encourages people. It's really bad. Anyway.
Yeah.
Gabe Newell War.
I can't believe that. That was like, this is the only game that's going to be coming out in like, well, it's like there's not even anything coming out for Christmas really. It was like, February's not too long after Christmas.
I'll tell you what, I've covered most of my Christmas list already. I'm struggling to think of something that's...
I've got one now. It's come almost out of the blue, but I played a lot of Assassin's Creed 2, and I was expecting, and I really liked it, and I was expecting Assassin's Creed Brotherhood to be this weird multiplayer-focused thing with like a bit of an expansion pack tacked on, kind of a bit more Assassin's Creed 2. Turns out, from the reviews, it's like a whole bunch more Assassin's Creed 2, like a whole story, but even better. So... yeah.
It's
I
like
almost can't avoid that now.
It's like Assassin's Creed 2 DLC, except it's like as long as a whole game.
As long as a whole game, and awesome. Yeah. I mean, just the stuff I've seen of the... because it has this kind of management thing in it. I don't know if you've seen, but you recruit assassins, and then it has a whole, like... system in the menus where you can like send them off to do contracts in other cities in Europe, and you manage them and change their clothes and stuff or whatever. It's like a assassin manager or whatever. But at any point in the main game, if the guys aren't away on assignment and they're there in Rome, you can press the left bumper and they'll just appear and start murdering dudes like out of the sky or just out of a random haystack. They'll just appear and start, and they really hold their own.
Have you seen the adverts for the Way of the Warrior or something?
No.
Or The Warrior's Way. There's a film called The Warrior's Way.
No,
it's basically like a Japanese like super ninja dude gets like he basically says, "I don't want to do that order. That's kind of harsh." Runs away and gets chased basically back to where he runs to do the thing. Except for the fact he runs to the Wild West. And the trailer features just the great quote of just this dude just looking up at the sky as these ninjas land on all the rooftops, and it's just, ninjas. Damn.
Damn. I saw a trailer for a film which was Cowboys versus Aliens, which sounds ridiculous, but it had the most insane cast. It had like, I can't remember who was in it, but it was like like Harrison Ford or something like that, or something crazy like that. It was like really big stars. It was like, what the hell? Oh no, it had Daniel Craig. That's right, and it was like cowboys versus aliens. It's really weird. So that would be.
So, well, speaking of versus, one thing to look forward to, hopefully, will be the Scott Pilgrim versus the World Blu-ray.
Yeah, I still don't like.
But
that
there's been no.
much. There you go.
What?
I'm not a huge fan of that film. I didn't think it was amazing.
Yeah. You're the target demographic.
I know. Even so, I wasn't a big fan. I thought we just sort of talked about this before, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I wasn't like super amazed by it. I mean, I liked it, but it's been a lot more better films this year. I mean, have you seen The Social Network yet? Oh my god!
Yeah, I did watch that. That was actually pretty good. I'm not sure I'm in your category and thinking, oh my gosh, it's like the best film ever.
Yeah,
it's
perhaps
not.
It's not the best film ever, but I really like it.
No, it's an interesting tale. I'll put it that way. It's not a bad film, but it's not something you'd put in your top whatever collection. It's it's a watch it once, get intrigued, find out the history, and then it's sort of not really worth a rewatch kind of thing. It's more of an intrigue factor than a sort of actual decent story kind of thing.
I think we have sometimes quite similar taste in games, but I think we divert quite heavily when it comes to films sometimes. But that's okay.
I can be quite mindless when it comes to films. Don't get me wrong. My gaming tastes can be fairly highbrow and fairly lowbrow, whereas my movie tastes are normally relatively lowbrow.
Because you really like 300 and I don't.
300's amazing.
Whereas I really like... Because the same director did Watchmen, didn't he? I don't know, what was the other?
Was it the same one? I think he did... It's not the Sin City dude, is it?
It's difficult. It's complicated because Sin City was Frank Miller, and so was 300. But that's the source material, whereas the director is different between Sin City and 300. But it's the same between 300 and Watchmen. So Zack Snyder,
and I liked, and Watchmen was awesome as well.
Yeah, I liked Watchmen. I don't know. I'm trying to think of one that I like and you don't. I don't know. I suppose The Social Network is close enough. But yeah, I think I would.
Don't get me wrong. We're both mad about Fifth Element, aren't we? Because that's amazing.
Yeah, we like that. Although that is quite weird and French and strange. It's still awesome though. I like the Fifth Element. Yeah,
it's properly crazy.
No,
it's very 90s now though. When you look back at it, it's like, yeah, this is actually dated now.
Oh, it is quite dated, but I mean, at the time, the kind of New York cityscape stuff, like it was really.
Well, that's still impressive.
Yeah, it still looks pretty good. So it's just sort of quite. I like how it's a bit French, isn't it? Because it's directed by Luc Besson, and all the costumes are by Jean-Paul Gaultier, and it's all a bit weird.
There's only one bit of Fifth Element that I always never liked, and that was Blue Opera Girl's outfit. Because it had like wrinkles in her skin that just looked like plastic, and it's like that's like her weird headpiece or something had like where it curved, sort of crinkled, and it's like I'm not entirely sure. If I was the costume designer, I'm not sure my skin would crinkle. Maybe it does, but it just looked a bit weird. That was the only bit. Oh, and when you reached into her chest to get the stones out, that just looked so wrong. Like it looked like someone had just carved open a bit of plastic.
It did, yeah. But as far as films this year, you really like Scott Pilgrim, and I really like
Inception.
Social Network, but I think we both agree on Inception. Yeah.
Yeah. Inception is the best film of the year.
That's where our tastes converge. I would put Social Network above Inception, but that's just me. I think we're going to have to talk next time about. We're going to have to talk, sometime soon about our Game of the Year, Happy Salad Game of the Year. We're going to have a podcast for that. That's exciting.
I think we'll actually do it at the end of the year, unlike other things which seem to assume their Game of the Year like in June.
Well, I've just been looking at Steam's releases so I can see what, various dates were. It's like, you've got a few more things coming out in November, sort of. And then there's only 2 games that come out in December, as in like the Christmas sort of period, and they're both.
Well, no, because they have to be out. They have to be out now in order for people to buy them as presents. Because now is the time that people
it's the very start of December. It's just like 1st and 7th. It's like 7th of December, Bejeweled free. What? Where are the games?
Have you seen the price tag for it as well? It's really quite hefty.
Yeah, it's like £15.
For for a PopCap game, and well, no, actually, for Bejeweled, that's more, that's more than anyone should ever pay. Unless I don't know, Bejeweled 3 has got like hidden diamonds in it.
But now on the plus side,
diamond gameplay. Yeah.
It's like now that Portal 2 has been bumped to April, I guess that leaves February for Deus Ex Human Revolution.
Dun, dun, dun.
Assuming that
have you seen the latest
like
footage of that, Zach?
Yeah, I saw
it out,
the
it's pretty
little
good.
teaser trailer thing.
Have you seen the one where he lifts
like
the
making,
box and then he
making
gets
quite a big deal of all that? That was great. That was a bit of old. I think that
old days.
Do you reckon that was like a deliberate reference, like throwback, where it's like
probably
look at this incredibly weird-looking crate that randomly happens to be sitting around. Upgrade your strength to pick it up.
Well, apparently they spent, which is really encouraging. Apparently, like everyone on the development team were like told to like just play the original game loads and loads, just while they were developing it, which I like.
Sweet.
I like that idea. Just
that video seems to make a huge deal of like their ridiculous night vision thing, which didn't look very helpful actually, because it's one of those. It looked like it was like non-depth, where it's like you can't tell how far away things are when you're looking for your night vision thing, or X-ray vision, I guess.
I wasn't sure about the computers. I mean, the interface when they opened looked kind of cool, but they looked a bit weird when you kind of looked at them, and then. Do you know what I mean?
Where it's just like it just looks like a random sort of picture hovering in the
brown
air.
Picture thing,
and then you press it, and it's like it turns into a screen somehow.
Yeah, it was kind of mysterious.
How are we doing for time, by the way?
We're all right. Yeah, we've got 25 minutes.
Oh, really? Jesus.
Plenty of time.
Yeah, I've got time
Oh,
to
God!
What?
No.
I haven't talked about what I've been playing apart from Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I played through that and I finished Grand Theft Auto. I really like that, but it did have, and the last mission, it does have an example of one of those. It tells you what to do, but it's not quite right in what it's telling you to do. Ugh. You know, like we were saying earlier, that Call of Duty does sometimes.
Yeah, dramatic finale time.
Yeah, it's on the dramatic finale, and it says, "Fly." You get it's really dramatic. You jump in a motorbike off a ramp and then clamber onto a helicopter, of course, almost in Call of Duty style. And then it says, "Fly low to avoid the RPGs." And in fact, you should fly as high as possible because if you fly low, you get blown up pretty much. So yeah, that's my top tip for that. Fly high on the last bit, and then you won't get blown up and have to do the whole second half of at least that mission does have a checkpoint, which is unusual in Grand Theft Auto 4. Yeah, so I went through and did that. Well, I chose the same deal or revenge. I chose the same thing as last time, so revenge. I think it changes who dies at the end, so I think I'll stick with my original choice rather than seeing both endings, but sure they're not too different. Yeah, and then I installed Lost and Damned, so I've been playing that. And it's pretty good. I like the characters in Lost and Damned. The guy you play is, I mean, because he's got no reason to be a nice guy, really, unlike Nico. He's already a bastard when you meet him, really. You know, he's a motorcycle gang member, and he's like, oh, fuck everyone, basically, which is kind of cool. But he has an interesting dynamic with the leader guy, Billy, because you play Johnny, and
Johnny, Billy, and Billy Bob,
and Billy. Yeah, it's kind of a cool. They're kind of cool characters.
Steve,
and they have this horrible way of talking. Like Billy refers to like women or whatever as whole. So like, I need me some hole and stuff like that. It's really horrible.
Every hole's a go.
Yeah, it's horrid. But it's interesting because Grand Theft Auto, it has right in the name, steal cars. And in Grand Theft Auto 4, you have to steal cars occasionally when you get stranded. You know, you need to steal a car off someone. And there's no real reason for Nico to do that. I mean, if you're really a gangster, the last thing you're going to do is steal a car. Because that's how they get you, isn't it? The police.
Yeah.
They get you on the small things. So you're really careful not to steal a car if you're a gangster who's wanted for mass murder, you know?
Besides, you should have an epic crew of taxis you can call on.
Exactly. Well, you do, I suppose. You do have the Bellic taxis, but even so, yeah. But and obviously, in Red Dead Redemption, you just press up on the D-pad and your horse is right there, so you never have to steal a horse, even though you can. You never have to. But in Lost and Damned, it's interesting because your bike is almost always there, and if it isn't, you can call someone and bring a bike to you. So there's no need to steal cars or bikes. There's no need to steal anything really in terms. They've almost
Grand Theft Auto is a lie.
Grand Theft Auto minus the Grand Theft Auto, and it's cool because the bikes
introducing.
Introducing blank space to Lost and Damned, but the bikes handle really nicely in Lost and Damned. They've upgraded the handling or whatever, and there's a bunch of them, but you get one as kind of a default, which is Johnny's bike, which kind of appears outside the clubhouse and at the end of mission, so you almost never get stranded without a vehicle.
I thought long and hard about that now.
About what?
Johnny's bike.
No, it's called a Hexer.
Oh,
it's
okay.
a Hexer. It's the kind of bike.
That's better.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if it's actually the coolest. There's a whole bunch of new bikes like the Zombie and the Reaver and all kinds of crazy bikes you can because you can call up. Also, you don't need to go around buying ammo either, because you can just call one of the blokes in your motorcycle gang and say, I need a micro SMG, and he's like, sure, I'll leave one at the clubhouse for you. So you can just go and get that. So you don't even have to worry about stealing bikes or money or ammo.
Weaponry.
And there's a whole bunch of new guns as well. There's like a new grenade launcher thing, and it's got all the checkpoint stuff in the missions. So if you die, you just start back from there. So that's nice. So yeah, it's a nice little story. I like it. And it's got races as well, which are fun because they're bike races. And it's really funny because when you do your first one, it explains that you can use a bat to hit people by pressing X to hit left and B to hit right. And he says, and Johnny goes, right, let's give these fuckers some road rash. It's quite funny.
Casual point.
Yes. Yeah, and they're quite fun. And then it's got a sort of gang war thing, which is probably the best they've done of those, but they're not that great. It's not like in San Andreas, where you have to take over territory. Instead, you kind of meet your gang of motorcycles, and then you drive off to the enemy lot, and then they kind of, when you come across them, they kind of stop, and you enter like a pitched battle on the street, really. Which is okay, but I've only done one or two.
It's like a regular battle, only it's on the street and far more dangerous.
The second one, they were in cars. Anyway, because the first time I played Lost and Damned, I got stuck on this mission where you had to throw pipe bombs against these vans, and so you had to throw them onto the road, and the van was supposed to run over it and blow up, but it was really hard to time, and if you held the button too long, you'd just blow yourself up. And there were 3 vans you had to do, and it was a real pain. It's called Hit the Pipe, the mission. But this time round, I discovered the way to do it is to just shoot the vans until the driver is dead, and then the van will just stop. and then you can just put the pipe bomb underneath and drive off. That's much easier. So if you're stuck on that mission, listeners, that's my top tip. Just keep shooting, because you can actually shoot the driver. If you keep shooting long enough, you can hit the driver through the back window of the van, all the way through the van and to him. So you can go in front of him and shoot. But yeah, because there are passengers shooting at you from the side, so you kill them. But if you manage to kill the driver, then the van will stop, and then you can. Yeah, so yeah, it's cool. It's fun.
Full of top tips today.
Yeah, top tips. What else? I played through. What's the level in space on Halo Reach on Legendary? Long Night of Solace.
Yeah,
I think it's called. Yeah,
Legendary. I haven't finished that level yet on Legendary, but the start. Well, the bit when you first enter the Covenant cruiser.
Yeah.
It's bloody hard.
Yeah, when you first go into the
dropping
cruiser,
through the shield is fucking difficult.
I figured out how to do that as well, because I was thinking about it all wrong, and I realised it took me ages to realise for some reason, but it was another example of the multiplayer level in the single player game, isn't it? So I just thought for ages I was dropping through the shield and they were killing me almost instantly because I was dropping into that top bit. That kind of long, and I was trying to crouch down and then pick them off, but they kept killing me by going up on the sides. Eventually I thought, hang on, this is midships, isn't it? Or whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
What's it called now?
I don't know. Can't remember.
But it's like, what do I do in multiplayer on this level? I go and hide in the corridors and wait for them to come to me, right? So I just went down into kind of the corridors of that multiplayer.
Oh yeah,
level,
I had a problem with that
there.
because they then swarmed me from 3 different angles, and then I checkpointed in the middle of, just as that fight began.
Oh shit,
so
that's bad luck.
So yeah, I had there was me with my drop shield basically trying to fight them off from there, and so I had to. The only way I could do it was from the checkpoint, quickly kill the guy that had already landed and was standing fairly close, wait for the other dude to land right next to me as he was boosting up.
Right.
Which happened immediately, basically, after the checkpoint started. He'd be already boosting up. Get lucky and beat him. And then there'd be 2 coming from the other side of the corridor immediately.
Right.
So I'd have to be able to, I had to do that precise order very quickly and very accurately, otherwise you were dead. And it took me ages, absolutely ages to do that bit. And even once you've done that, the whole sort of lack of atmosphere section is pretty hard.
I mean, I think I got lucky because I went into the corridors and then they all came with their jetpacks, but they all came from the same direction, and I managed to kill them one after the other as they zoomed up. Because only at one point were there 2 of them at once. They seemed to sort of gradually get there. Because I went to the right-hand side from where you start and hid in a corridor there, and they kept popping up with their jetpacks, and then I killed them one after the other. Because they're actually easier to kill than your average elite because they're the jetpack elites, but they're still pretty hardcore. Anyway, but then of course,
Zach and I managed to finish the campaign co-op as well now. So it's not on legendary, but not that that's particularly difficult in what's it called, heroic. But we've done it. There's nothing particularly special really, apart from the lone wolf mission. Seems to, I don't know. There was something different about it. I can't put my finger on it, but.
Okay, I can see that.
But it was kind of weird. It was like Rob managed to die before me, and then I was just like running around like an idiot because it was like, oh no, I can't reload fast enough to shoot these guys. And then it didn't even bother to wait for me to die. It just sort of faded out.
Yeah, it sort of gave up after a while. I thought that bit went on for as long as possible, but yeah, it just sort of gave up.
Oh, does it? I thought it just went on until you died.
Yeah, maybe in co-op it has a timeout or something, thinking, oh, they could do this forever.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, makes sense.
It didn't seem to have like.
Well, I didn't respawn. Let's put it that way. But maybe I could have done. But
it didn't seem to like have a specific. The mission length didn't suggest that it was a precise timeout. It was just like it wasn't like to like 5 minutes 30 seconds or something. It was just like randomly stop now.
Yeah, the next bit is the bridge of the after that bit where you go into the ship. There's the bit with the engineer.
There's the docking bay.
Yeah, the docking bay. So that was okay, but then the bridge is a bit of a bastard, mainly because of the zealot captain guy who has like a concussion rifle, which isn't the problem. The main problem is the fact that he's so far to the other end, and it's hard to get next to him because you have an energy sword. Because it's an energy sword in a crate on the bridge, so that's really the way to kill most of them. But then, and the bubble shield is absolutely indispensable on legendary. I mean, that health thing is
the fact that it regens
vital.
Is
yeah. So eventually you get up and kill him, and then obviously the very last wave of that mission is the hardest because about 5 really hardcore elites spawn. But I happen to be in a really good place where I could turn around and kill the first one using an energy sword almost immediately, and then the other guy had a plasma launcher. So that took me quite a while because he kept sticking me, despite the fact he had a plasma launcher, he kept sticking me with a normal plasma grenade. Anyway, it was really funny. But
just to rub it in.
Yeah, just to rub it in. But eventually you can then use his plasma launcher on the guys that are fighting, what's his name?
George.
George, yeah. But there's a lot of J's in those names, isn't there? Jun and George. Anyway.
There's 2.
2, yeah. out of, what, 5? Out of
6, isn't there? Well, because you don't have a name, but 5 other characters.
Yeah. Anyway, and then
just be glad that there's not a James, unless it's James Carter.
It could well be. Who knows? Anyway, yeah. So
or Emil James.
But I'm a bit nervous about the next mission. What's
John
the
James?
one we're in New Alexandria mission? Because although it is easier fighting brutes than elites, isn't it? So that might make it a bit easier. But the gravity hammers are going to be a pain, I have a feeling. in Legendary.
That wasn't so bad, actually, to be honest, that level. I seem to remember... Well, no, it wasn't so... Well, in Heroic, yeah. Compared to the bits earlier, suddenly things seem to get easier from that point. So I don't... No, unless they severely up the Brutus's health. But...
Yeah, they might do. But it'll have to be headshots, really, and not running out of DMR ammo. That's the key. Whenever you find DMR ammo in Legendary, you're like, oh, thank God!
Yeah.
Especially when you're on that spaceship, because there isn't any apart from, when your Pelican comes in, or if one of your guys dies and happen to have had a DMR, and you find it on the ground, it's like Christmas early or something. Yes! DMR ammo! Anyway.
Success is ours!
So yeah, that's all the things I've been playing, pretty much. I'm tempted to get Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I am tempted, but we'll have to see. Might have to go for that for Christmas or something.
I'm trying to think what else is out that I might sort of hint to people to pick up for me. I don't know. Things like Wii Party might be of interest, I guess.
Well, what about Sonic Colors?
Oh yeah, of course. I had forgotten about that actually.
I have to admit, I've been looking at Sonic Colors. Oh, by the way, I was watching Giant Bomb about Sonic Colors. Definitely play it with Japanese turned on and with English subtitles, because it just sounds so much more awesome, all in Japanese. But I have to admit, if I was looking for one of those kind of, like a platformer on the Wii, I would probably choose Donkey Kong Country Returns, because it's more my style of platforming, I think, than Sonic. And that looks good too. It's retro, so it's the guys who made Metroid Prime.
Yeah, I actually think they could do a good job of it, but I've never really got behind Donkey Kong as a character.
Yeah,
I didn't mind Donkey Kong 64. That was a good game, but I don't know. I find it hard to connect with monkeys.
But instead, you get along perfectly well with blue hedgehogs.
Blue hedgehogs are like
I can relate to blue imaginary talking hedgehogs. Oh, I noticed they seem to have changed his voice again in Colours.
Oh, who cares? Put it in Japanese. Actor. Jesus.
but
always awful.
They should have just left the original voice from Sonic Adventure wasn't too bad, and then they made it worse, and now they've made it worse again, and it's... Someone just needs to write a better script.
I don't think the script is the main problem.
Or just have no script.
Yeah.
Like
but then you'd have... Then, like, if they still wanted voice acting, if they have any script, it would just be, like, annoying incidental voice clips. It's like,
there doesn't need to be voice. At all.
But he needs to say something.
Well, no, they could do it like... Well, keep Eggman's voice, because as long as that's the same, that's awesome. But
yeah, but it wouldn't be the same if Eggman just said shit and then Sonic was just like...
Damn it, we shouldn't call him Eggman. I'm on Screw Attack's side for this one.
Yeah, we shouldn't call
him
frickin'
Robotnik.
But it's easy. It's like Eggman is easier to say when in like shorthand.
Yeah, true.
Like, it's like shorter and quicker.
Robotnik.
So Zach, what about you for Christmas? Fallout New Vegas or something? I don't know.
Well, basically, if I'm going to get, it's like I'm not going. No one's going to give me a game for Christmas, obviously. But if I were to like buy myself something at Christmas, it's just a matter of waiting for Steam sale. See what happens.
Yeah,
see if something comes.
See what happens on the Christmas Crimbo sale. Christmas Crimbo.
I imagine there will be one, won't there?
Presumably, they can't not do that after they've done it once. It's like once they've set the standard.
I was trying to think if there are any old games that would be cheap now that I hadn't played that might be worth buying. I was thinking maybe Alan Wake, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because you did have quite an interest in that for some time.
I did,
even though it is more of a shooter.
No. Yeah, it looked like it was going to be an open world game and was going to be, really cool that way, and more Silent Hill-like, but it turned into quite a linear thing. But I'm still vaguely interested, because, Max Payne was awesome, so I don't know. Anyway, and I was thinking of getting Dirt 2 as well, because you seem to like that a lot. And,
it's sweet.
Would that be alright on a gamepad?
Yeah, it's quite arcadey. It'll be to be honest, I think it'll be one of those games that'll probably be a lot easier on a gamepad than it is on the wheel, because you're flinging the wheel all over the fucking place. Let's be honest.
Right, yeah.
It'll probably be easier on the pad. Admittedly, as I said before we started doing the cast today, I find it hard to get behind racing games. So some racing games, unless I have the wheel.
Yeah, I know.
it's a big immersion thing for me, and it's like it's all Zach's fault. If he hadn't got a wheel with the original with Colin McRae 2, then I wouldn't be hooked. But
I had a wheel for Colin McRae 1 though. I had that big red one.
Oh, that's true. Cool. That's true.
Yeah, that Logitech one. That was awesome. Anyway,
but we didn't really use it very much. As much.
Well, I used it. I used it for
And then when Colin McRae 4 came along, we played that
Driver,
well.
The original Driver.
That was a game that really didn't need a wheel. That was like super arcadey.
And Midtown Madness 1
version of that as well.
That's what
Midtown
I mostly
Madness
played.
Was the best
Midtown Madness 1 is what I played most.
Oh yeah, on the wheel was pretty cool.
Because once we had 2 as well. I played that so much. I did that. I basically completed that game on the wheel, which was kind of rare for the time. This was in the age before we actually were good at games enough to complete them.
So they're working on Dirt 2 now. Dirt 3, sorry. So that'll be coming out. So but I think I might have to go for Dirt 2 at some point. I don't know.
But it'll be yet another game that has far too much content. I know I say that, and like it's a bad thing, but Dirt is one of those games where it just seems to, and Grid just seem to just go on,
and just not quite enough rallying.
Not quite enough rallying, and my biggest complaint with that series is there's never enough tracks. They get reused too often.
Yeah.
Whereas when you were playing a game of the old Colin McRae's, you never felt like you were playing the same track very often because you did the entire.
They are beautiful though.
You did the entire. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. They are absolutely wonderfully rendered, but you kind of wish there was the more sort of lots of stages in the same area kind of thing, like from Rally.
You did the entire freaking championship where it was like
they sort of did that in
6 or 8 stages per country, and then like 6 or 8 countries.
Yeah,
that was a lot of levels.
But they sort of did that for Dirt 1. There was the separate rally mode, and there was a sort of, I didn't go into too much detail, but it looked like there would be a reasonable number of tracks just for that mode. Whereas I think in Dirt 2, there's pretty much 1, maybe 2 rally tracks per country. Which is a bit weak, really, seeing as it's supposed to be the game's, it's the bit that made them famous.
We're coming up to 4 minutes now.
4 minutes!
Have you heard Bizarre? I've been shut down?
Yeah, I did hear that.
Or they might be being bought. That's sad. I hope they're alright, and I hope they go on to make some good games.
Obviously, Geometry Wars wasn't enough to keep them going.
No, well, they went into a bit of an odd spat there. Blur, fair enough, but then they made that weird James Bond game that's just come out.
Blur. I'm really disappointed actually, because Blur is actually a great game.
Yeah,
it's from the demo and from the main thing. It deserved to do well, but didn't.
Yeah. So guys, I hope you go on, make Blur 2 with somebody else and do something.
Yeah, cool. Good luck to you, Bizarre. We love you.
Also, harmonics are for sale.
Well, did you hear why?
But I presume because rhythm games don't make any money anymore.
Exactly. That fad has been and gone.
Yeah.
It's like, what was it? 2 years ago it was making over $1 billion, and now it's down to about 200 million, which is an incredible drop.
It's weird, because it seems like Rock Band 3 is almost
Rock Band 3 is
finally
game.
Yeah.
I don't think they could do much better than Rock Band 3. Although we said that about Rock Band 2 when that came out. How could they do any more? And it's like, wait, they've actually done a lot more.
The only problem with Rock Band 3, which is a big problem for me, is the song selection. They can't have all that old stuff that they've already had. Well, they sort of can
on the store.
But yeah, I mean, like the classics that were in Guitar Hero 1, I don't know. But it's like a brilliant game, but you need the content,
Yeah, they've never beaten Guitar Hero 1 in my eyes in terms of the song list.
1 and 2, yeah, they were really good. Even though they were covers, they were just good songs. They were perfect songs for the timed game. So once you exhaust those, then you're kind of in trouble.
Time?
Yeah. Sorry? Time?
How are we doing? Like minute and a half?
2.5, yeah.
2.5 minutes. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, God.
You keep saying that. Oh, God, we've got to fill time now. We'll be fine. That's been quite a good one this week. I might go, I keep saying I'm going to play Batman, so I might I might play that. But it depends whether So I'll play through some Batman.
Oh, when I have interest. Do either of you know when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is coming out?
No idea.
Because let's be honest, that looks hilarious.
Then you can find out.
Yeah, that looks freaking hilarious.
Okay.
It looks pretty hilarious, but totally impenetrable for us.
Well, maybe. I mean, Eddie's been trying to train me at Street Fighter 4, and it's it's pretty damn hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. That must take some dedication to get into that game and start having fun. No, like real fun.
It's you can pick up the basics quite quickly, but actually using them in a fight is a whole different thing. It is a skill. That game is an absolute skill.
Oh man, there's just not enough time in the day to play all the games because there's so many good multiplayer games now. We got TF2. Just in terms of shooters, we got TF2, we've got Halo and Modern Warfare. Oh, sorry, World at War or whatever to play at this point. Just don't have time to get good at them all and play all these awesome other games. We shouldn't complain.
Just play
but, yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, I will. I'll get a PC and I'll just play. I'll get a decent PC and I'll just play Team Fortress. That is the plan.
Yeah. The games industry is always too big because there's far too much for one person to ever get through.
Too much great content. Awesome. Would love gaming.
If I was like Zach and had all this time, I could probably get through more top tier games than I do. But Zach likes to play the old stuff.
But if you're me, you also don't have any money to buy like 360s or anything. So you don't get half the stuff.
Well, thanks for joining me, gentlemen, for another Saladcast. I'm going to work on the site and actually have a nice, decent website before long. You
mean it's not decent? I worked hard on that shit.
No, it's cool. Did you work?
It's fine. Well, not that hard, but
Yeah. If you'd made the theme, I wouldn't be disparaging it. But since you got it off the shelf, okay.
I skinned it.
Skinned it with some salad. Yeah. Bye, everybody. Say goodbye.
Yeah, bye, you bastard.